particularly like your blind spot feed.
Listen, you heard me, girl?
Stories that are underrepresented in mainstream media.
But
so I encourage you to check them out at
these men be weird.
ground.news/SWU.
Definitely.
Subscribe through my link to save 40% off their Vantage.
And honestly,
by subscribing or even gifting it to someone you know.
This is what I pick up from my HBCUs. See, my HBCUs, they be collecting it. They be like, y'all don't be hearing their old music about how they were sexualizing those young girls.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all used
Who?
to no.
Oh, like back then, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a whole movie we had to watch on it in Intro to Psychology. And oh my God, it was just so much. I was like, wow, wait. This isn't right. Something's not right here. And then they're like, you see, don't let them brainwash you. And I'll be like, okay, you're taking too far, but I get what you're coming from.
Man, they've been putting stuff in girls' drinks back then. Even in the songs they used to say it.
When it started coming out, people were like mentioning me like, you were telling the truth about it. And I'm like, duh, I'm not gonna lie about something like that. And I kind of like tried to briefly talk about it because I knew it wasn't gonna seem true because it was just too much. It was too crazy. People were gonna think that I was just lying. It had like a lot of people involved, celebrities and stuff.
We knew nobody was learning about P. Diddy.
That probably traumatized me.
How'd you get invited to it?
By being with a prince that I met in LA. He lived in Glendale, California. And, you know, long story short, I got out of this crazy little contract and I was looking for somebody to invest in me. And I knew somebody who knew somebody that was like, I want to introduce you to a prince. He know a lot of celebrities, producers and stuff. So I never put two and two together that this prince knew P. Diddy.
You say prince? Prince of what?
He was Arabian prince.
Really?
Yes. And he really was a prince for real. But I wasn't worried about him being a prince. I was worried about who he actually knew. So when he invited me to, he met me, he said, I want to invite you tomorrow to Music Ultra Week, whatever. And it's like an event, Ultra Music Week. It's like an event for like 2 weeks where people party, including P. Diddy. And they party at Club Live. They party at like just in South Beach, Star Island, like where P. Diddy stays or throw his freak offs at. And I never knew that we were gonna go there because I was there for 2 weeks and I knew it was something fishy. He kept saying, I got a surprise for you, I'm like, but I'm only supposed to stay for 2 weeks and I'm here longer than 2 weeks. And it was almost a month. It was basically a month by then. And he was like, no, because I just want you to meet one special person. So he ended up telling me, like, when we went to Club Live, he was like, guess where we're going tonight? I'm like, where? He's like, to P. Diddy's house. I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, that's crazy because I hear a lot about P. Diddy and I'm like, his house for what? Like to go sing? He's like, no, he's throwing this wild party, I'm like, oh, okay. So we went from Club Live. It ended at like, the clubs ended at like 3 or 4, not 2, like how out here is. So we waited around the mansion, the Prince's mansion, for about an hour. And then as soon as 6:30 hit, we all got in the car, like a big Uber. And me and all the other girls, and mind you, I'm the only black girl. So I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I'm about to meet P. Diddy. Oh, you know, like I'm probably gonna have to sing for him, And I just tried to like keep my composure. So we get there and that's when stuff got weird. And that's why they lock up our phones because they know what we see in there, you know, he can get in trouble like right now. So basically, we arrived, security guard patted us down. They put our phone in this little bubble case. So the bubble case is closed. They can't get unlocked until we walk out. So as we're in there, the only way of us taking any type of pictures is if we get in a photo booth. He has like a Team Love photo booth or whatever. Take like 4 pictures. So I, got pictures. I still got everything in my Snap too, like the photos, everything. That's all you could get. So I'm walking around or whatever. So one of his sons, I'm not gonna say which one, but it was like recruiting like whoever they wanted to go inside the house, because the freak off is inside the house and in the backyard. So you have the pool, and they're playing loud house music. Like, Mark, the house music, it makes you feel kind of woozy, first of all, because it's like a rave or something. Dun, 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 and it's real loud, so you can't really see nothing, but you're seeing everybody like walking around, drunk, hopping around. It's still 7 a.m. So the sun is like coming up, and people are walking around naked, period. Let's get into it. They're walking around naked already, and they're in the pool, skinny dipping. And they're drinking mimosas in the pool, but then it's like a waitress walking around giving people drinks, just passing people drinks, you know, and people are just taking them.
Sounds crazy.
Me, I don't drink like that, but I'm like an occasional drinker. Like, I'll drink.
Yeah, she's saying that they was just giving them drinks.
Or whatever, just for that occasion.
Oh, I believe it.
Keep saying, drink, drink, drink.
I believe it,
But
because
I
I'm
was
sorry,
like,
one thing
a
about
drink.
Justin
I'm a drinker.
Bieber and his whole
But I just had it
life,
in my hand.
Mhm.
So one of the
proves
sons
to me
seen
that
me
they
walking,
just-
mind you, I'm with other girls, but we
they
split
were
up. So I was
feeding
walking with
alcohol
one
at these
girl,
parties,
she's a Puerto
even
Rican
if you
girl.
were underage,
So P. Diddy's son's
overage,
like,
male,
you. And
female,
I'm like, me?
Mhm.
Or
they're
her?
just beating.
And then he was like, no, you. Come here. So I went to him, and he gave me some shoes.
That
So
shit
these
crazy.
shoes was like some terry cloth, like robe shoes,
But
white shoes.
how old is Justin
And
Bieber?
I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, you're supposed to do these. He was like,
I
go in the
wanna
house with
say
these. He was like, everybody who gets these shoes, you get to go in the house.
27 maybe?
But I'm thinking you could just
He
go in
was
the house
like,
if
how
you
old?
want
Going
to,
to
but
the
everybody can't go in
15,
the house.
14.
They're literally selecting.
Like, there's
picking
pictures
who
of
they
him
want.
at
So
these?
Yes.
I'm like, well, what about my friend? He was like, no. you
And
know,
that's
I'm
what I think is really
I'm holding
in
shoes.
those like
I'm walking around. You
tapes
know, I'm a good
and why
looking
they
friend. I'm
haven't
not gonna
released
go
them,
inside
because I
a
feel like
house
there's
where
a lot of
they
underage
said my friend
people
can't go,
in
so we
there
just walking
at
around
the
mingling.
time.
But we tripping out, looking at everybody
And I
like
think
they all
if they
everything
do
smoking
involve the
and jumping
chicks,
around like hooligans.
I don't know if we'll
A
ever
lot of
see
people
them
gonna get in trouble.
personally.
And I seen him with the Prince.
A lot of people going
I'm
in
not
trouble.
gonna
You seen them?
say what he was doing, but something really, I get
No.
real nervous. Something real crazy, because I don't like to
A lot
really
of people
expose
gonna go to
people. I
jail.
could talk about me, but when it's about, like me and my family, because it's us. But when it's other people, bro, doing something real sexual, that's all I'm gonna say.
And Diddy was also like heavily involved
So that
with
we can see,
Nickelodeon
so that
at
we can
that
get
time,
turned on, okay? So he's doing something.
which is a whole
real
nother red
sexual.
flag,
And I'm like,
Yeah.
because Nickelodeon
Girl,
has
he's
its issues in
speaking,
its
she's like,
own.
Yeah, with
so
Dan
like,
Schneider.
we're screaming like, girl, do you see him? Oh my God, because of the music. And I'm just like, whatever. Then he starts to act like really obnoxious, like, I'm the king of the world, jumping around, doing all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, that's regular P. Diddy shit. But what got me was how he walked up to me and was like, why are you not in the house? And I'm like, what do you mean? He like, how are you enjoying my house? So we had a little talk or whatever. He started talking about all these things. Oh yeah, you're the one that, you know, I seen was telling me about the Prince. He's like, oh yeah, it's very nice to meet you. Like your life is not gonna be the same. Da 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 da. We started talking about going to Cuba. Are you going to Cuba with us? I'm like, what? And that's the thing. I didn't really know about this. So this is when I start asking around or whatever. And I said that in the last interview. But to get to the point, I ended up going in the house because he was on me, like, go in the house. I'm like, okay. And then the person that he was dating at that time, we're not going to say her name, but we all know, she came and was like looking at him like, what are you doing? Because he was talking to me for too long. So she came to like rub on his shoulders or whatever, and he just pushed her. And I'm looking like real uncomfortable, like, oh, I know what this is about. I don't want to be in the middle of there or whatever. So that's what made me go into the house, because I'm like, okay, let me just go in the house. So I told my friend, like, wait right here, girl, let me just put on these shoes, see what this house is about. Walk up in there. I don't judge people, because at the time I was just smoking weed. But you know when people are out of their mind, and you know when people, you know what you don't want to be a part of, and it's just like, I'm seeing stuff that you see on the movies.
No, I don't
This
think
corner,
braids
this
hurt.
going on. This corner, they over here doing this. This corner, they over there having sex. This corner, I'm just
Niggas
gonna
ask me
say,
why I'm not wearing a bra.
because I don't know what I can say, because I'm not trying to be
Bruh,
incriminating myself,
Mhm.
but they were
I'm an
dressed
A
up
cup.
like little Harajuku bar.
I'm an A cup. I
Like
would
what?
train
Little
bras.
people, okay? We're not gonna say what type of little people, but like a fetish. And I'm looking like, what are they doing here? Like dressed up, little red lipstick, like they weren't supposed to be there. But I'm just looking like, maybe it's some type of production going on. But why would they be at this party at 7 o'clock in the morning with grown people? Like, why would they be here? So I just like, okay, whatever. Like, But then when I'm looking in this corner, this person laid out, and I'm looking like, what's going on? Then I'm seeing like Instagram models or whatever. I'm like, oh hey, so I'm kind of getting distracted, feeling like kind of comfortable, like she's here. Oh my God, she's here. And then I see P Diddy, you know, walking through the house like with his eyes on me, like, you know, like, is this, you know, you see, like, are you agreeing with this? And I don't. Now, mind you, I still got my friend out there. So I walked out of the house and I'm telling her, like, oh my God, bitch, like, this is, oh my God, she like for real? But I'm just like, I'm not even tripping, like, oh, well, like, this thing's weird, like, you know? So I'm really looking at the situation like, I don't even want to be involved in this type of stuff, because once I see something, I can't get it out of my mind. And I'm like a hypochondriac, like I keep on having flashbacks about it. So, whatever. So, of course, I come out, and then here he goes again. And another rapper, well-known rapper, comes and starts feeling on me like, hey, you. So now it just seems like everybody is faded at this point. They're either drunk or on all the drugs, obviously, with this house music. So now I just feel like trapped in. Like, I don't like it. And I know the devil when I see it. Because by me being so spiritual and tapped in, I know when something is not right. I'm not judging, but I just don't want to be a part of it, because how am I going to get out of this shit? Like, I'm already here, and then I heard conversations or whatever, and then P. Diddy was like, that's the one that I want. I want her. So now I feel like, you know, they plotting on me like, did you bring me here on purpose? Like, is this the, you know, producer you was talking about? And I came here specifically with the Prince to rub elbows with people, to network for the music week. But then I put two together, like, the Prince has been saying your life is never gonna be the same. You're gonna be happy, somebody's expecting you. And I just feel like that was the time that I was gonna get sex trafficked or, you know, drugged or something like that. And then they kept trying to make me, like, I've been around celebrities before. If a rapper wants you or somebody wants you, they're not gonna do it. They're gonna send somebody else to do it. So if a waitress is coming or another girl or a pretty girl or a guy, they'll stick somebody on you. I take this drink, do this, do that. And then you just feel eyes on you, like watching to see if you're gonna do it, when you're gonna do it. So I already know what time it was. And it's crazy because I have to leave that place. In my last interview, I told you I had to escape. I had to leave from the Prince because he was telling me we was leaving for Cuba the next day. Cuba with who? With P. Diddy or what? Like, this is all crazy. So to see all of this stuff come out.
Y'all are weird.
And I escaped by leaving. I had to call the police and everything. I had to leave with the Prince. That's another story. From the Prince, from that house. I didn't leave with the other girls. I had to get my phone unlocked, of course. But like, I had to like catch a taxi, not even an Uber, a taxi to another location. And then I ended up going to the airport and I ended up leaving. Because I just felt bamboozled. First, I'm getting lied to about how long I'm supposed to stay there. Then you keep talking about I'm supposed to meet this producer, but we're not talking about nothing with music, but you're talking about going to Cuba. We didn't even do what we were supposed to do in Miami, or did we do what we were supposed to do in Miami at this freak off? But because I'm not cooperating with what I see, and I feel like that's what the Illuminati and stuff is about, like a secret society. Like, they want to see what you allow, what you cool with, and then next thing you know, boom, take that drink, you're drugged. Take that, you're out of it. Take that pill, because everybody was off something. But you had to be, being in that environment like that.
How many people were at this event?
Like hundreds. Even when it was a certain amount outside, but in the house was really crowded. You know what I'm saying? And you would think that, like, it was more people in the house.
And you walked around?
Yeah, I walked around for about 5 minutes. I seen what I needed to see. And I was like, no ma'am, no sir. Because it was like selling your soul at that house. And if you like that, it's nothing to you. But if you're not like that, you're gonna feel uncomfortable. And then it's like, at first I used to think P. Diddy was like, so he always talk about team love and all of this stuff. Like, he's all about, he all about sex, himself. And I know sex because I've dealt with men, Mark. So I know when somebody is trying to lead you on to stuff and sitting back acting like he just this macho man. And he is a charmer though. That's one thing. Like, he will charm the fuck out of you. But for me, that's so game tight. I'm like, I know what this is, and I'm ready to get to the music. Like, if that's the case, you should have been like, don't tell me you about to change my life and da da da. And oh, have you been writing? Oh, that's nothing too. He was like, have you been writing the songs that I seen been telling you to write? Because the Prince wanted me to write out all the songs I ever made in my life. I said, without the beat? He's like, yeah, just start writing songs. So you never know. They'll take my music, drug me, fuck me, do whatever, and just throw me away, basically. Or after you have something on me, when we do the music, you have that on me that this happened, and now I'm blackmailed or some shit like that. So, touching all on me at that party, even the rapper who touched all on me, like, that rapper was cool. Like, I was liking that rapper. But when they were like, hey, you, and doing all that, what can I do? All I could do is just say, like, move his hand, like, oh, I'm fine, but, you know, trying to, like, still be cool. But I'm like, why did everybody feel comfortable to just touch on you? Even P. Diddy, like, why I look up and you're right there? And then, like, in my face, like, are you, like, in my house? Like, look, like, it's weird. Like, looking at him is like when you're a kid and you're getting in trouble by your parent and you can't look them in their face. And it's like a demon. I'm telling you, like, this dark spirit, like, he possessing you as he's looking at you. That power, that control. So I'm like, I read The Art of Seduction, motherfucker. I know what you're doing. And you're trying to really seduce me right now. And, oh, take a drink. Oh, no. Do this, do that. Go in there. Like, it's just not nothing. And I want to know, why me go in the house and why not the girl? So now you're picking and choosing. So it's fishy to me. So when all this stuff started coming out, I was like, I knew I was right. I knew it. Like, it ain't no doubt about that. P. Diddy was doing all that. And like I said, I don't judge because I've been around people doing cocaine. But these hard drugs that they was doing and just, I ain't gonna lie, it was orgies and stuff going on. So all of this stuff going on, I'm like, why is people doing stuff all in the open? Like, that's just offending me and assaulting me, period. Because where am I at? I didn't sign up for this. And how can I really get out? So I have to, like, ease my way on out. You know, it's security, but they not caring about what happens as long as that phone is closed. They damn near don't care if somebody died up in there. Ain't nobody can film it.
And there were famous people or not?
It was a whole bunch of famous people.
Yeah.
Like 4 famous people and then some Instagram models. And the whole time he just was like trying to undress me with his eyes. And I was thinking like, this is really no cap. Because at that time, you know, I always been skinny. So at that time, the son who came up to me, I was like, boy, dude, is it because I resemble your mom? Like, you know, like Kim Porter, like stuff like that. Like, you just never know. Like, I feel like, you know, P. Diddy does have a type. I feel like everybody that was in that house, it was a certain type of person. It was a certain type of something that he wanted and what he liked. And you could just tell, like, he get whatever he wants. That's why he has no problem touching on you, being all in your face, popping up on you, being obnoxious, and just hounding you until you do what he say. And that's just how the industry is already, especially him, because he got a lot of money, you know?
Because you're a singer as well, right?
Yeah, so they probably like, do you want this opportunity or what? And I'm like, not that damn bad, but I do want it. I do. But if I already got a bad vibe and I'm seeing stuff that you're into, I already know how this is gonna be. So I don't wanna, like, you know, ignore some red flags and then I'll be in trouble because of you. Like, literally in trouble. Like, we know his past, like Shine, the rapper, you know, being in jail because of him. Like, don't think just because I'm from where I'm from, you could just do anything. And that's why I never really said nothing about it, because I just felt like, who am I? You know, he got money, like, ain't nobody gonna believe me. But I have all the receipts, I have it all in my Snap to this day, it never went nowhere. That was just my experience just being in Miami for the first time. I didn't know that I was gonna end up at P. Diddy's house.
Did you take photos outside the house?
When I got my phone back, yeah.
Videos or something?
I took videos when I was going to the house before I knew this was some weird shit. And then when I got my phone, I ended up, recording. And then I had the shoes on.
Oh, you had the shoes?
I left with the shoes on because I don't know where I put my shoes at when I put those on. And it was a lot going on. It was real loud. So, I don't know. It just tripped me out. And I was like, is he gay? You know, like, and nothing against gays. I couldn't put my finger. I was like, what is this dude into? But his house, his freak off. No, not like that. You know, I'm going to make everything to a joke. But this is a real serious situation because it'll traumatize you. Because now, I ain't trusting no producer. I look at everybody like, if I went to the top of the top and I've been looking at him like this top-notch mogul and like, whatever. But, child, it's a lot. But it's some stuff, you know, that I did leave out because I don't want to say too much. But, because I told you there was some celebrities in here. But for these girls that did get drugged and did take these drinks, I feel like it's because everybody was all having fun. You know, you wouldn't think that somebody would do something like that to you until you get to seeing everything. And once you're intoxicated, it's too late. It's just too late. So that's why you gotta watch what drinks you take. And they was just pushing them on us too much. Take a drink, take a drink, take a drink. And I'm like, no. Because I was already, you know, sipping a little bit at Club Live. So I wanted to, like, mind you, I'm thinking, like, he going to ask me to sing in a minute. I don't want to be toe up, you know? Until I put two and two together. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I did.
I'm glad you got out and survived.
Yep, I'm always surviving. This is no joke.
You're a survivor.
For real. And it's like, I'm still going through stuff. You know, you don't survive being traumatized. And these things do traumatize you because it's like, dang, I can't never get around this. I could always end up to this, sex, or some creep shit, or somebody taking advantage of you or something, or feeling all on you and you can't do nothing because...
You thought the streets were dangerous.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm telling you. But, yeah. So I just want to see, like, you know, what's going to happen because I know a lot of people was... He went to trial today. And I don't even know.
It's going to be in the news for a while.
It's going to be in the news, and a lot of stuff is going to come out. So, don't be saying I'm lying, because I wasn't lying.
This is all alleged, but
right.
sounds like pretty consistent with things that are in the news.
Right. Yeah.
And you did say this, what, like 2 years ago.
Exactly. And I told you I got sex trafficking vibes from it. Remember? I was like, he was trying to sell us. The Prince to Diddy. You know what I'm saying? Which one do you want? Which one? I want that one.
What does it feel like to be peddled off like that to somebody powerful? Is it?
It's scary. It's scary because what could happen, but it's like, Queen, I'm honored to be chosen, period. But I don't want to be. I don't want to end up in a ditch somewhere, you know, just because he's choosing so many people and assaulting people. I don't want to be assaulted and I don't want to be filled up. If you're going to fill me up, make sure you ask me, can I touch you? You know, you're beautiful. You, not just you in my house so I can. And I'm like, this is weird. You know, like, tell me first, fool. Because I would have charged you myself. But, and I just make, you know, it did hurt my feelings. So, you know, whatever. I got over it. And I didn't do music no more after that. Because I was like, I'm cool on music, bro.
That would scare you out of the industry.
Yeah, like, I'm like, this is all they want. Let me just make an album. And sing and write. You a producer, ain't you? But no, you're a freak. And a creep. Yeah. Ask permission first, because, you know, no means no.
Well, it's nice to see you again.
You too.
You look more beautiful than ever.
Oh, thank you.
Love your outfit. All right, Janine. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Okay. Even though Soft White Underbelly consists of a lot of videos, it's really still a photography project to me. And if you appreciate the photography, sometimes it's difficult to enjoy it when it's scrolling down the screen, which is the only option I had in this horizontal format on YouTube. So last year we came out with the first Soft White Underbelly book, which is a collection of the best portraits from the thousands of interviews I've done. Each portrait in this book is accompanied by an interesting quote from the person's interview.
Oh my God.
There's more.
Wow. These aren't as bad as I thought. I look like a witch.
I will not be reprinting this book when it sells out. So once it's gone for good. You can order yours at softwhiteunderbelly.org. $125, $150 for a signed copy. And thank you for watching.
Suddenly, James was on the road a lot for work, but he also kind of made it sound like he possibly was on the run as well. Then he died. Wow, okay, I guess that's the end of the story. What? He was dead for a couple days. I don't know how you finish that sentence.
James is a vampire.
He was dead for a couple days before he resurfaced. Hi, Timmy. My name is Laura Nett, and I live in South Carolina. My cousin, Gabriella, is getting catfished for a fact. Like 100%. Oh, she started talking to this guy, Hendrik, on Snapchat. She was head over heels. I was listening to what she was telling me, and I knew it was crazy. I was telling her it was a catfish for months, but she kept on talking to him. But listen, on the day that he's finally supposed to meet up with her, he ends up getting shot, goes into surgery, and dies. It's a lot of mourning. Now she's mourning somebody that probably didn't even exist. And I don't know how to make her see that. There's actually more crazy stuff. But I figured a dead catfish would show you what we're dealing with. You need to find out the truth so she can move on. Please help. Thank you for that.
Hey, Gabriella. First of all, how are you?
A lot of things been going on, aka the whole Kendrick situation. But besides that, I'm getting my life together and I'm good.
You're coming out of that relationship. Kendrick finds you. He's saying all the right things. Was he talking about coming to visit you a lot?
Yeah, we definitely plan to meet up, but I received this message from Holiday Season, which is his longtime ex-girlfriend. He was trying to get away from her, but she's crazy.
Her name is Holiday Season.
Her Snapchat name is, yeah.
Okay.
She said, you've been talking to my man. I said, I literally just want to get to know him. So she said, okay, good, I'll allow you to be friends. Then I'm like, okay, whatever. So he was packing his bags to come see me. I spoke to him early in the morning. It's a 2-hour drive from Atlanta to Greenville. So I'm like, okay, he should be here by the afternoon. Then later on in the evening, I couldn't get any reply from him. Holiday hits me up and she tells me he's in the hospital. He got shot in the chest twice. He's fighting for his life.
How did that happen?
She's like, it's probably his hood-ass friends and stuff like that. I'm like, wait, what? Are you serious? A few days later, Holiday told me that he was gonna get moved to Miami to see a specialist. When that happened, that's when I started getting text messages back from Kendrick while he was in the hospital.
You know, I'm like, okay, there's a catfish. But when he sent the picture,
Yeah, he said.
that threw me off because it was him in the hospital.
With the
Everything
hospital down, yeah.
Yep.
So while he's in the hospital, that's when he started throwing the I love you. I want to be with you. I know what I want out of my life. And he was to have surgery August 3rd. And I texted him that morning. And he was, a little scared. So, I just try to lift his spirits. And that's when I sent one top titty pic. Make you feel better. Think about
You
that.
sent him a titty pic before surgery.
Go on and make him feel better.
You said if you're gonna go out with these.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow.
So from his cousin Tim. He said Kendrick died mid-surgery. He said he told me about you. He said you were a good girl who deserved to have a good guy. And then the last time I spoke to Tim was telling me that Kendrick was getting cremated. The next day I asked how was the celebration and I never got a response from him ever again.
I mean, that's tough.
It's crazy. It definitely hit me hard because I grown to care about him. So it was tough.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
You're Tim, I presume.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. This is Gabby, I think, as you already know. And we're just trying to clear this up because there's been a lot going on these past few months between Gabby and Kendrick, and then you and this other girl, Holiday. And we're looking for someone who might be able to help us, and we were hoping that was you.
Okay. What would you like to know?
Well, we know Kendrick isn't dead. So how about you just start there?
Alright. Let's see. How should I start?
Did you make up holiday season as well, the ex-girlfriend?
Nail everybody.
Are you real? Is your real name Tim?
Yeah.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
So you are the person who's been talking to Gabby as both Holiday and Kendrick the whole time?
Yep.
And so tell us, how and why did you start talking to Gabby?
Just made the account to do research and write a story. So I felt like I needed something real and raw to go off on. So pretty much didn't really pick her. She just kind of like chose herself, but she kept engaging into the conversation.
Nah. We not gonna say that you didn't pick me, because you definitely picked me. You hit me up first. You found me. You found my Snapchat. So how the did you find me?
I did a search, just random people.
You mean you just like typed in a name and just whoever came up, you just friend requested or added?
Yeah. And you're the only one that kept talking, so.
So I'm just a story for you? What the is your story about?
Looks like the love triangle, pretty much what was going on between Holiday, Kendrick, and yourself. I was trying out to see how you react with those.
So basically I'm a guinea pig for your little whack ass story.
Do you feel any kind of remorse whatsoever?
Not really, because it's not real.
It wasn't real for you? Fine. It was real for me. I'm real. My feelings are real. The tears I shed for a person who I thought was dead was real. I cared about somebody. And the next thing you know, he's dead.
Dear Eve and Tammy, my name is Angel, and I currently live in San Antonio, Texas. I have been in a relationship with this girl online a couple months now. She claims to live in Austin, Texas, which is only a couple hours away. I met Sharon on Plenty of Fish.
Plenty of catfish should be the new name.
We exchanged numbers after a few messages. We began texting nonstop. I thought she was very beautiful, but what really drew me to her was our connection. With Sharon, things instantly felt deeper. It was only a couple weeks into talking to each other that Sharon told me,
I love you.
Not you. Not after what you did to me.
The problem is that we have made multiple plans to meet up, but every time she comes back with an excuse. Her camera's broken, so she can't. Oh, come on! Come on!
Is the car broken? We just have to keep checking off the list of things the catfish said.
I don't know what to think anymore. I need your help to meet Sharon, find out if she is who she says she is. Angel.
I'm sorry, I'm fangirling so hard right now, y'all.
Good to meet you.
I'm Cammy. Nice to meet you.
And that's when Sharon actually reached out to me. And then I was like, oh, so you have kids? She was like, yeah, I have two. And then I said, okay, so like, what do you do for a living? She was like, hey, I actually have to be honest. Same day, she was like, I'm actually like a stripper. Like, she's forthcoming, like, I like that. Like, you're being honest, you're giving me that opportunity before my feelings get involved. That's what kind of drew me to her, too. And then our conversations. Austin is from San Antonio, not that far. And I was like, hey, like, I'll come to Austin. You know, like, it's only like an hour drive. She's like, okay, cool. So then she slipped on some glass and broke her foot. I was like, okay, like, damn, I'm sorry. Like, I hope you feel better.
I mean, this girl's using every excuse in the book.
Yeah.
In the email you mentioned you've tried to meet up a bunch, though.
Yes, but she would jump down my throat. You know my situation? Because at this time I had just found out her and her husband do still live together, which is the father of her children. They're not divorced yet.
What?
Yeah, this is a lot. A lot has transpired. I just don't know where to start.
Wait. Hold on a second. So Sharon still lives
with her husband.
With her husband and the father of her children.
Yeah. So she was telling me that she had told her husband, you know, I don't want to be with you. Like, I really want to be with her. So she called me and was like, hey, Lorenzo's his name. She was like, hey, Lorenzo wants to talk to you. Like, you want to talk to me, the person who's going to be around her kids.
Right.
So I was like, okay, cool. So I sent him a text and I was like, hey, it's Angel. Call me when you can. He said, I don't talk on the phone to people I don't know. Okay, whatever. So what you want to talk about? So then we go into this conversation and he was just like, so how did y'all meet?
Just all via text.
All via text. And he started cussing me out, F you, like, that's my wife, this, and that. So he was going, so I would jump. He would say something, I would jump. And then he was just like, well, I got goons for that, like this, that, and the other. I said, that's fine. Oh, and then he would be like, so like, yeah, you know, she's carrying my baby. I'm like, cool, bro, congratulations.
Oh, she's pregnant?
Let me stop you for a second.
I think we both have the same
What is it that you like about this person? Because so far, in your description of your relationship, it's been nothing but drama and problems and chaos.
To me, communication and conversation is everything. Like, we talk for hours and just laugh.
What kind of stuff do you guys buy?
Basically, her past life. She said she struggled with drugs. I struggled with drugs. So I'm a recovering addict. So being in like physically abusive, mentally abusive, emotionally abusive relationships, I've been there. It was basically our past that we related on. So it started with like having a bond over that, and then it flourished into a friendship, and then, you know, then love came.
Where is the relationship now?
She blocked me. After I had sent the email
to us,
I did tell her I did reach out to the show, and she got mad and thought that I was the police trying to set her up because she had warrants.
Hi. What's up?
Hi.
Looking for Baron.
Yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
You.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Why don't you come on out?
Do you know who that is?
No, I'll introduce you.
Hi.
Hi.
Are you who I've been texting?
Yeah.
And are you who Angel's been talking to this whole time?
Yeah.
And what's your name?
Kia?
Do you also go by Rukaya or Rukia?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is Cammy.
Hi.
This is Cammy.
Nice to
Me, if we didn't formally meet.
Yeah.
Hello. And this is Angel. We're all, I think, a little confused and annoyed
Yeah.
about what's been going on and trying to figure out why this has all gone down like this.
I mean, I came out and told you everything, Angel. You've known everything when you reached out to Catfish. I came out and told you the whole truth.
What you wanted to tell me doesn't mean I believe it.
So wait a second. What did she tell you already?
When I reached out to the show, she came clean. She was like, I haven't been saying who I was saying I was. I said, okay, I don't believe anything that you're saying, and you can't get mad at me for not believing anything that you're saying. You can't get mad that I reached out to the show.
Hold on, I'm confused.
I'm weird.
When you guys met, it was on a dating site?
Yes.
And it was the real picture of me.
Okay.
I just had one picture of myself on there. And I
Is
want
that
to say
true?
She had one picture, and I said, so the picture wasn't blurry. So
Okay.
she sent me 3 more.
Of the 3 different girls?
Yeah.
this is
So who
ridiculous. wasn't
No,
like.
she didn't tell me that was her.
We even FaceTime before.
Wait a second, hold on. Did you FaceTime with her?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
How is there a misunderstanding?
She
of that?
FaceTimed me, but I never saw her face.
That's why I said it was too dark. She said she couldn't see my face.
Is that because you were hiding it? Because you sent her 3 different pictures.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So what about the other day when we called you and instead of calling to speak to Sharon, you said that was you instead of just saying, "No, this is Kia." Why didn't you just say that? I don't know. It was when she called catfish. I mean, it did scare me at first. Like, you know, it put me in a panic.
I'm not even sure what to believe anymore.
I didn't want to do all of this.
But you kept the lies on.
I'm not gonna do this because she's not
Well, I'm just trying to ask
she's not being honest with you guys.
Don't come here.
I'm not doing this.
Don't-
Goodbye.
Don't. Bye.
Goodbye. I'm not doing this.
Okay. There's obviously some crossed wires here. Let's just go down the checklist just to make sure you are fully aware of what is and isn't true. You live in Arkansas and only Arkansas. You have 2 children.
Yes. Are you pregnant now? No. That was
You didn't break your foot.
We're not married.
No.
Drug addiction.
No. Substance abuse.
No.
But you did tell her that that was something you had struggled with.
You know I'm a drug addict though, right?
I know all of that.
So why tell me that lie?
I don't know. I can't answer that. Okay.
Like coming from a
Okay, Angel. I'm sorry.
All right. If you just gonna cut me off, like first off,
I always
I'm
listen to
gonna-
you. That's
I'm
why
gonna
you're
cut-
blocked.
I know, but look,
I'm
don't cut
always
me off.
listening to
Okay,
her.
but
She
don't
never
cut me off.
listens to anything
When
that I
I'm
have to say.
recovering drug addict, you don't lie
Are you
about
gonna
that.
still raise your voice? Because I can go back inside. I'm not doing this thing. I'm calm. I'm answering every question
Okay,
you
well
guys are
that's a
asking
slap
me.
in the
Okay.
face because I related to you on a
Okay,
whole
any
other
last
level.
meeting, Cammy? Anything else you guys want to ask me?
Hi, Catfish team. My name is Shirley. I'm a 21-year-old Navajo living in Chandler, Arizona. I've been dating a guy online named James for a few months now, and things got serious. He's a 23-year-old Native American from the Zuni tribe in New Mexico. So this is amazing. This is a Native American
Love story.
Very cute. I actually met James online earlier in 2018, but we didn't really start talking until this past November when he posted something and I commented on it.
Just like that.
And we basically started talking every day from then on.
Another one comes rushing in.
James has everything I'm looking for. He's a young, good-looking guy who has a great job, and he wasn't scared off by the fact that I have a son.
So what's the problem?
The Zuni and Navajo are actually opposing tribes. Wow, this is like Romeo and Juliet. But what mattered was our love of our culture and our desire to stick to our roots. At first, I tried to keep things friendly, but within a month, James told me he loved me, and I realized I loved him too. After a while, things got weird. Suddenly, James was on the road a lot for work, but he also kind of made it sound like he possibly was on the run as well. Then he died. Wow, okay, I guess that's the end of the
What?
story. What is it? What? He was dead for a couple days. I don't know how you finished that sentence.
So James is a vampire.
He was dead for a couple days before he resurfaced. I know this sounds nuts, but I've invested so much into him, and now I just don't know what's going on anymore. Can you please help me? Shirley. You've been through a lot in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And then to meet James, it probably felt like a positive source of good energy.
Yeah. It was like something I was like looking for. We just started talking every day. He said he was a welder, owned 3 houses, and just their chief in line for the Zuni tribe.
Oh wow.
Yeah. We just started vibing. He's like the only person I talked to. When I told James about my son, all he said was, I don't mind being there for your son as my own.
I can see how that would mean a lot.
Yeah. And he started getting weird. He started saying like he bought keys.
Keys of cocaine?
Keys of, I don't know.
Wait, what is he talking
I
about?
don't know what kind of keys he was talking about.
That's gotta be a drug thing.
Cocaine.
He said he lost 13 to 15 keys.
Shirley,
Come on.
the
He's telling you all this ridiculous stuff about having all these drugs, then losing the drugs.
But I didn't know it was drugs.
This is absurd.
I don't know what was happening.
How long after this whole thing did he die?
Like a week.
You got a random text from his phone, but it was his sister.
Yeah, she said, hey, this is Maya. James passed away.
And then your mom was like, I don't think he's dead.
Yeah, my mom said, no, he's still walking on Mother Earth.
So you texted him back. He just wrote back,
Yeah, like, hey, something I have to explain.
but then didn't.
No,
After he said he died, did you go on his Facebook to see if people...
no, like, his Facebook wasn't there after that.
Got deactivated.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at this guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's cute.
I like that he has long hair.
So he still has a Facebook.
No, I took that before he.
Oh, this is just a screenshot. Oh, 25. R.I.P. my baby girls.
He had 2 little girls. They passed away.
Do you believe that?
This is on his Facebook.
Did he have photos of them?
No.
Hello? Oh, here's somebody. How you doing?
I'm nervous, really nervous.
Okay. Well, that's okay. I think we're all a little nervous.
What's he talking to? I don't know.
Why don't you come out?
What does that mean? What?
Hi,
What's up?
I'm Cammie.
Maya.
Maya?
Maya.
Nice to meet you.
And this, as you know, is Charlene.
Yeah.
So, James. Is that a real?
No.
Is
Okay.
it you?
Yeah.
It's been you the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why did you do this to me? I mean, you basically wasted my time coming out here. I have a little boy. Yeah.
Let's go in here. Just so you don't have to feel like everybody's looking at you. Do you live here in Tuba City?
Yeah. I live here in Zuni.
Okay. So you are Zuni.
I have Navajo half Zuni.
I've done that, Zuni. Okay. And how old are you?
I'm 18. You're a youngin. I'm way older than you. And oh my gosh, this is weird. Are those little girls real?
The daughters that James had died. Are those?
No.
It's a up thing to lie about.
Yeah, I would never lie about my son dying. Like that part you should have never said. You know. How did you come up with all these lies? You talked about keys, you talked about dying, you talked about a lot of stuff. I cried, I literally cried. When I did that, that was of me trying to let that profile die down, and I tried shutting it down, but I couldn't really let it go and everything because I would have no one else to talk to. If you want to be mad and frustrated with me, I understand that. I just did it because I was missing that love and affection. You know, you were that person that was there to listen to what I had to say. I told you things that I never even told nobody. I never even told my family, my friends, nothing. And when my sister passed away, I was put in foster care. I grew up in part of that too. That was rough, man. Like, they took my little brother away from me. They took a lot of things away from me. I'm really sorry. I really wanted to tell you. But I never got that courage to tell you.
What am I fighting for? Interesting. From Christian. My name is Christian, and I'm 23. I'm from Memphis, but I go to school in Montgomery, Alabama. And I think I might be getting catfish. Some crazy things have gone down with this girl, Shantel, who I met on a social networking app almost a year ago. She would go live, and that's how we started talking. Chantel is 22 and lives in Rockville, Maryland.
That's around the corner for me. I don't know Shantel, so
Well, she's young.
I know everyone in Maryland. I've never heard of Shantel.
When I first saw her, I knew she was special. She's so hot. But interesting thing about her. She's cool and funny and can cook. What a dream. Too good to be true. We were in love and exclusive pretty quickly into our relationship. We talked on the phone all the time, and I really started to think she was a long-term girl for me. However, she has not shown her face on FaceTime or her lives. But the more I pushed to video chat, the more she got really angry and pulled away. She's told me to leave her alone, but then she'll come back in the mix, calling and messaging me again. I need to know if she is a catfish. Please help. Best regards, Christian. Alright, she's calling in. Let's see. Ooh, yeah. Hello? You need a hand with that? Wow. How you doing? Here, why don't you come in here? Just come right this way.
Excuse me.
Hi.
Sorry.
Thank you. Wow, I'll put this down for a second. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm Neve.
I'm Makaya.
Makaya?
Makaya.
And you are Shantel?
Friend.
Friend.
I'm a friend.
Oh. Not Shantel.
No.
Okay. Oh. Okay. Where's Shantel?
She had a couple more orders, and she sent me.
Stop. She lying. She's lying. So what did she tell you?
She told me that you owed her $35 for the food.
Okay.
She also had a letter.
Like a note?
Yeah, it said, "Dear Neve and Cammy, sorry I couldn't make it. I hope you enjoy the food. Thanks for supporting my business, Shantel." And she also said, "P.S. Sorry I couldn't make it to meet Christian. I feel like it's no reason to meet because the feelings aren't mutual."
Huh.
That same voice. She lying, that's her.
I'm texting you. Christian says that's her.
The voice sounds the same.
Since you're here, do you want to just come in for a minute and have a plate? We don't need 4 plates. You want to have a plate with us?
I really was gonna leave.
Come on, have a plate with us. It's cold. We got some delicious food here, right?
Hi,
I'm gonna have to go.
I'm Cammy.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
This is Kaya,
Hiya.
who apparently is dropping the food off on behalf of Shantel.
So where's Shantel?
She had a couple orders and
Your voice just sound a little too familiar. Like I can, word for word, bar for bar. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody that's been talking to somebody for that long, you feel me?
yeah, I don't know what she's talking about.
Okay.
You're really gonna stand on that?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
I just saw the way you looked at him when he came out, and you looked gagged.
So you saying you're not Shantel at all?
Absolutely not. Yes, it's me.
So why you still praying a lot like this?
Because I feel like there's no point for us to meet for real.
But we've been talking for a goddamn year. I'm just saying, you could at least just being real to a person. You know what I'm saying?
Why were you afraid to just come here and be yourself?
I didn't have much time to, really sit and chat and stuff, so.
You've had a year to chat to Christian. You guys have been talking on the phone. You've been falling asleep on the phone.
I'm not trying to hurt nobody. I'm not trying to, lead nobody on and stuff like that. So it's just strictly business. If it ain't about business, I really don't want to talk.
What business? What does your business have to do with Christian?
Okay, look. Why don't we start at the top? Your real name is what?
Micaiah.
It is Micaiah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you're really just interested in selling food, why have pictures of this other girl?
To promote my business?
I'm not buying that.
I don't know what to tell you, because
I mean, you are pretending to be another girl to talk to people.
Not to talk to people, for business.
But the purpose of having that account and using pictures of someone else
To promote my business.
is to get people to engage with.
Attention.
Correct, to get attention. But you knew he wasn't going to be buying food from you.
No, I didn't know. Honestly, when I was
He lives in Alabama.
He
He's
never
a college student with no money. What do you think he's gonna fly you down there to cook
nobody has
lunch?
to fly. They're paying for the food. That's it. Just the food, my services. That's it.
You're gonna fly down there on your own dime to cook someone lunch?
That's a no. If
Those
it's
are
like
poor
that,
business
it's
practices.
not like I'm scamming people or anything like that. It's more so like I'm bringing you the food, so you're getting your money's worth.
But the Shantel account is not really about selling food.
It's most definitely is. It's strictly business.
You guys were talking in a very real way. That wasn't just like him asking about food. Like, you were in a relationship with him.
I wouldn't call it a relationship. I always looked at him as a friend.
Was there a point, at any point, that you had feelings for Christian?
My feelings was never that strong for Christian.
But you still told me you love me though.
No, it was in.
Bull, bro. You sound like bull. On my mom.
It's no wood.
It is.
I knew I was a catfish, so why would I even,
You lied.
but to me, communicate. So, to me personally, it's how I feel.
You, bro.
How are you feeling?
I tried to hold my composure. It's just the lies. It's pissing me off. You literally was on the phone with me every single day.
Woman to woman. I saw your face when he came outside. You don't have any feelings for that man?
Honestly, it was just because I was promoting my business.
The messages say something different. Those look like somebody that's in a relationship with somebody that likes them. This isn't about selling food. You know that.
We're just trying to get some answers and keep talking to her. You should be able to ask questions too.
Yeah.
So if you want, maybe we can invite her to come in, we could sit and...
We can see.
Listen, it's cold out here. Let's get inside and talk to Christian.
All right. Let's start over. We've cleared up that it's you. You've been the one talking to him. I think now we need to kind of just get back into the origin of all this.
So, when I made my Shantel account, I just casually made the account to bring attention with my food, the food that I make in my business as Micaiah. I put my food in my media and I just like showed it around and like I just went live one day and everybody just came into my live. Just like, oh, who the hell is this? You know, stuff like that.
On the live stream account, they require like 10 different steps of verification.
Apps update, it may have told you like you have to verify everything. I happened to catch it at the right time, so I didn't have to verify.
My bad.
Let's just clear something up. If
sorry.
you told me you were selling specifically your services in Detroit, and that was a part of your profile, that would make sense. But you then weirdly told him you were in Maryland.
The profile is Maryland because I have most customers from there.
You lied. Stop lying. There's no version of an explanation that you can give me that's convincing that you created the Shantel account just to promote your business.
You don't have to believe it. Honestly, you can go whatever I say. You can honestly go with whatever I say. But honestly, that's my intention. I was making money. I was shoot up out. Like,
Did you have feelings for me? Be honest. Don't lie to me or nothing. Did you have feelings?
yes.
All right. That's all you had to say.
Okay. I had those feelings.
You said have or had?
Had. But once it started hitting Rocky Road, it was just like, yeah, I'm done with it. Like, no, I'm not dealing with it.
Okay.
Look, you did have feelings for it.
Yeah.
That was one of your main questions, because you didn't want the whole thing to have been fake.
Right.
So, you do cook, you did have feelings, but at the moment, you're not interested in Christian.
Not romantically.
All right, let's put all this in the past. Maybe say whatever else there is to say, whether it's an apology.
I have nothing else to say. I already apologized and.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Oh, in the beginning, when I first came, I was like, I'm sorry if I led you on or anything like that. Those were my first words.
Oh,
yeah.
I missed that. I did not hear that.
You want another apology, Christian? I apologize if I made you feel any type of way and led you on in any type of way. I didn't mean to do that. That was not my intentions.
Girl feels sincere, but I'll take it.
From Jaquan. So this is not a spam email. Please help. Hey, my name is Jaquan, and I can really use y'all's help. Prayer emoji, exclamation point, exclamation point. I'm 28.
Thank y'all for the
and I live in
gifts.
Rochester, New York. I've been talking to this girl, Shantel, and she's amazing. Might seem weird, but after only 4 months, I've started to really like her. Love?
I need to be with somebody, somebody like you.
She's 27, very beautiful, a hard worker, and a go-getter. I love her personality, and she listens. I had a major loss recently, and she was the one to help me through it. The only problem is I've yet to meet this girl in person, which seems really weird when we live in the same city. Every time I try, there's a problem.
There's always a problem.
She won't even FaceTime. SMH. She takes care of her elderly parents and works full-time as a nurse, so I understand she's busy. Maybe I just need to give her more time. I just got out of a long-term relationship. I was 10 years with someone I felt I would never be without. So this is all new to me. Is this what the dating game is like now? Or am I being catfished? Jaquan. Jaquan. He's a content creator with his friend Justin. They make videos together. And Justin, seeing that Jaquan's in the final stages of his long-term relationship, says, hey, here's the number of this girl, Shantel, you should hit her up. Shantel, she's really been there for him, but they both live in Rochester. Is she avoiding meeting up with him for a reason? Is she just super busy?
Something's weird. If Justin is involved, I don't think it's just
Justin. There's an X factor. There's an X factor here. Whoa, he has a lot of followers. Jeez. This one got 4.7 million views. 2 major videos.
I mean, maybe calling catfish. This could all be for his content. He seems genuine, but... Oh my god, wait, I've seen this. I've seen this! Is that Justin?
Is that? Yes!
That is Justin.
Oh my god.
See, this is what I'm saying. Justin and Jaquan are 2 peas in a comedy pod on TikTok, and they're making all these videos.
Yeah, now that I know Jaquan is such a performer, I'm not sure I can trust anything he said to us yesterday.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
This is what I'm saying.
Wait,
this
now
could
it's
be a
Justin.
big content
It could be.
boy. I think they both could be messing with us.
Both could be messing with us.
Yes.
Clearly something's up. Let's check out Jaquan's Instagram page. Look at this.
These 2, look at them. They make everything together.
Right.
But what? Look at this. 2 clowns. Jaquan and Justin on Court Night Live.
Wait, so the fact that they've been on a court show as a plaintiff and a defendant, and they're supposed to be friends, means that they're obviously willing to create situations to get on TV shows.
Using our show to do like the biggest prank in the world. Both could be in on it together, trying to come up with more ways to get their page seen.
Is that what's happening? Let's start with the phone number for Shantel. Just to see what comes up. Obviously, if it's Justin, we'll know something is afoot. Alright, here we go.
Rochester. Anita Real.
Anita. Huh?
Let's look up if there's a Shanita following Jaquan.
Followers? Anita?
No. Try Anita. just an entertainer, comedian.
Is that her? Is that Shantel? I don't think so. No. Right? That's weird. Why does the number come back to someone else named Shanita?
Does Justin follow her?
Yes. Like, she's obviously her. And she follows.
It's Shanita.
Just.
They're in cahoots. It's Justin and it's Shanita.
Right.
But is Jaquan involved too?
I think we have to just go to Jaquan and confront him. Before we get into all the computer stuff, we saw that you and Justin were both just on some court TV show.
Yeah.
What happened?
Which is that? Yeah, what was that?
He pretty much was suing me about money.
Okay.
Saying I owe him some money.
You say that's like your best bud.
Yeah.
Is he still your friend?
Yeah, he's still my friend. Yeah. We good. We good.
Why didn't you mention any of this to us yesterday?
Can't really talk about that. You know what I mean? Because they make us, how those, they make you signs and you can't speak on certain things.
And it just felt like the fact that you and he were on that show with him suing you over some money makes us wonder, like, well, now they're on this show, or you're on this show, and it just so happens that Justin is the friend that introduced you to Shantel, and it just made us think, like, could they be working together to try and get on this show? You and Justin, the way that...
Oh, no.
Well, we're asking because we've had people come on the show in the past that had sort of, were working together to create a sort of manufacturer situation.
It could look that way, but no. Because I don't want y'all to, you know what I'm saying? I understand what you're saying.
We come in, because you ask for help, we want to help you.
And we want to help people. That's why we do it. It's not to make up or to, be a part of some kind of content.
I'm genuine. And that just happened too.
And you really don't think Justin's capable of coming up with something like this to mess with you?
100% don't.
As a funny content thing, like,
nope.
Why not?
I don't know, man. I just trust him. It's just trust. Once you give me reason not to trust you, then that'll go away. But right now, he haven't given me no reason not to.
There's something coming.
Oh. Are they coming this way? Oh, another car here.
It's an ambush.
Just this one car, I think. Hello.
Hi, Shanita.
Hi.
Can you talk to Nita?
Nita? Sure. Hello.
Hi.
No.
I'm gonna let you explain yourself before
I feel so bad. I'm sorry.
I can't hear you. Feel bad about what?
Playing with you.
What you mean by playing with me? I'm confused. Why do you do it? I don't understand. Why?
I mean, it was a joke at first, but you're not a joke to me, though. I like talking to you.
I told you about my dad, my ex, every damn thing, all that was a lie. Why are you crying? I should be crying. Why you crying?
It wasn't all a lie, though. It wasn't all a lie.
She can go. I want to suggest her.
Like, don't be that dismissive.
He's upset. He's upset.
I understand that. I understand that, but I didn't have to come here.
You didn't.
I didn't, and I could have just told you.
Why did you come? What were you moving?
Because I'd rather be honest.
You could have been honest.
Well, I'm being honest now.
What changed?
You called them.
Called us.
Yeah.
But I think what he's asking is,
She
you
can
could
say
have
that.
been honest before he called
Yes,
us.
but I didn't know how to tell you. Just didn't let me tell you. He didn't let me tell you. He didn't let me tell you. He didn't let me tell you. Just thought it was funny. They play jokes on each other all the time.
No.
Well, what the initial thought, let's play a little funny joke. I'll set him up with you. You can pretend to be this other girl, and in a week or something, we'll reveal it.
It wasn't no time frame. But yeah.
He's still so convinced. I know. He's angry. What about? I can't tell if she's genuine.
I don't think so. I'm not getting the impression that it's real. But I don't know, because as much as I was prepared to come here and it'd be some, and it'd be like, okay, very obvious that they all had contributed stuff. I mean, I know it's hard.
I don't know. That's unclear. I don't know.
Nothing makes any sense.
That's what's upsetting me.
But where's Justin?
Jaquan just texted him.
And he replied?
He responded. So I told Jaquan to just invite him here, since she's already here.
What's up? What's up? Why would be one big happy family now?
Okay, let's just, we're trying to understand what's going on. We've heard from Nita, but I think it's important to hear from you and just kind of set the record straight.
So, you know, a few months ago, you know, you was coming to me, you know, we guys, you know, we had our little guy talks about relationships, and you felt like back then you was in your relationship alone, you know what I mean? And you like, it affected the business now, like, videos stopped being funny. I even think you stopped watching for a little while, man, because, you know, you're going through stuff with your girl, man, so I thought at the time that I was, you know, doing the right thing, trying to find something to help you get back in the move for the sake of the business, so we can, you know, get to the top that what we always talk about, bro. So I made this all up. It wasn't supposed to go this long. It wasn't supposed to go this long. I'm sorry, bro.
I just said,
Yeah, you want to walk over there? Sure, you can cool off.
I did it for the business, man.
This makes no sense. What did you think was going to happen to the business after he found out about this?
Honestly, I didn't expect for it to, you know, unravel like this. I was trying to get him back in the zone, like get him back feeling himself like the Jaquan that I knew. And it helped.
How could you say that helped? It's not adding up. Nita, can we talk? What the is going on? We obviously know that you're all content creators. We obviously get that. And so that's why.
But they good though. They good though. And after this, they gonna be good, and I'm gonna look like a bad guy.
Well, for Neve and I, we've been wondering from the beginning if all of this was an act.
You know,
Be honest.
I think, and I'm not trying to snitch on my man, because they play games all the time. I didn't know if they eventually wanted to do something with it, make it a skit. Like, it was supposed to be a joke.
On us? Was Jaquan a part of all this?
I mean, I don't. Maybe he just wanted to be on TV. Y'all think of that?
We have. We've asked him.
That's not nice. That's not nice. I don't agree with that. Just in defense mode.
I think you got roped into all this. And I think it's also fair for you to be
I'm trying to be
distraught and
honest.
upset.
I have a minute.
Yeah, sure.
Let's just all sit for a minute and just see if we can get to some place.
I'll do it for you.
I appreciate that. Why don't we all sit down in the shade here and just try to smooth this out as best we can.
Okay.
I'd love to just try and once and for all really find out the truth.
Alright, so Jaquan been my business partner for about a year, and for the most part everything's been peachy, but his relationship, you know what I mean? I concocted this story up.
Okay. And rather than just introducing him to Nita, you thought what?
Well, I thought that using Shantel instead of Nita, it would have been better.
But Nita says it was just a joke, but you're saying it was to help your friend. So which was it?
It started off as like a little joke. It's all me. Like, I was the orchestrator, but I never in a million years expected it to snowball like this. Jaquan, you know you're my dog, man. I never was. Well, hopefully one day, you know, we can go back to being, you know, husbands, man. Like Ren and Stimpy, man. You know, yeah. I I never wanted it to happen like this in a million trillion years. Like,
To be perfectly honest, we still can't be totally sure what to believe. I mean, I think you're being serious and genuine. You all seem genuine and real, but we know you guys did that court TV, you know, which...
I had to get my money.
Whatever.
Even though I lost.
But the point is, like, you're all performers and entertainers, and you're all funny, and part of us still not sure
This not funny.
how real everybody's being right now.
This is not funny for
I'm
me.
extremely embarrassed. I'm extremely embarrassed.
That much is clear.
Whatever the truth may be, you shouldn't be treating each other like this. As of right now, Jaquan, your feelings are...
I got what I need. I'm good.
I really am sorry, bro. I really am.
Yeah, definitely apologize, bro.
Alright, well, I think we'll say goodbye then to them and send them on their way.
They good.
Alright.
Alright, nice to meet you.
You too.
Sorry on these pretenses.
Yeah, take care of yourselves.
So you guys find a way forward back to your friendship.
Hopefully.
See you guys.
I don't know what to say.
We don't have much to say. It'll take time for me to get to that point. Right now, I'm not there right now.
We should have been sold and Justin. This is ridiculous. Whatever, man. No stuff.
Okay. Let's talk about it. You've now seen what we saw when we were there filming. The foolishness. Well, in reviewing all the footage, okay, because there are obviously stuff that we don't see. There's also text messages, because at the end of the day, our producers go through and, you know, just screen whatever the people are saying to each other. Well, it turns out our producers found text messages between Jaquan and Justin talking about how it's a bummer they can't hang out right now because of the show, and also wish we could hang out with Nita too. And this was obviously before Jaquan was supposed to know that Justin was his catfish.
And Jaquan was texting about Nita before we even started filming the show. So clearly they were all connected and in on this together.
Right, so it's become very clear to us that our suspicions were correct. They were faking it to get on the show. Right. So now that you guys are up to speed, we're going to get all three of them so that we can give them one last opportunity to finally admit the truth, which we already know, right, and see if they'll come clean.
I think Nita is gonna break. She did at the end.
She did. She sort of said, right. I didn't know that she had said that to you.
Yeah, well, she said that to me, and then at the end her mic was hot and
right.
it was recorded.
So we're gonna give them one chance to tell the truth now. We'll see, alright?
Hey, how y'all doing?
What's up? What's up?
Hey, what's up, guys? So, here's what's up. When we were filming with you, Cammy and I had been suspicious that, like, you guys lied to us and planned this whole thing, but in editing the show, we discovered some things we hadn't noticed before, as well as some text messages that some of the producers found in your phones. You were communicating all week long while we were filming with Justin, saying, I wish we could hang out with Nita. So, like, we already now know that you guys did plan this. And Nita, you already sort of tried to tell Candy the truth that day at the park, but you didn't want to, like, rat out your friends.
Wait, huh?
If you can hear it, Justin.
So look, now's your chance to redeem yourself and just admit that, like, okay, it didn't really happen like that.
Me and Jaquan never hung out. I don't have a relationship. I don't.
I mean, y'all probably been friends for messages.
Yeah, never that. Never.
If you just said gotcha, you could really get us.
It's not what you talking about. What do you mean? That's what I'm confused about.
Alright. Well, either way, we know the truth.
Well, I gotta actually go back into work though.
Alright. Well, okay. That's it.
Thanks,
Good luck,
guys.
everyone. Bye.
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 Well,
I can't believe why in this moment they wouldn't just laugh about it. And he's like,
huh? Huh?
why don't we just let America decide? Oh, we got one. Here we go. I really need your help. Hi, Eva Cammy. My name is Jeanette. I'm 28 from Long Island, and I'm a visual merchandiser for a big retail chain. A few months ago, my cousin Kiara introduced me to this guy, Patrick. Patrick is 35, served in the military, is smart, handsome, and has a good job at the FBI.
What? Oh God! So what? Everything has to be kept a secret. You can't reveal
Well, let's
too
see.
much.
Actually, this is good. We would speak every day via DM. We eventually were texting. Patrick was always complaining about his broken phone. Our conversations became infrequent, and I began to think there was something strange going on. Then things really got weird. When my cousin Kiara introduced me to Patrick, Kiara was dating Patrick's cousin, Gabby, in real life.
Oh!
Kiara and Gabby seemed to be very happy. Honestly, it all sounded like a romantic comedy, but it turned out to be more of a horror show. I confided in my cousin that I was suspicious of Patrick. One day, Kiara did some digging. She found some really messed up things in Gabby's phone. They had a huge fight, and Kiara told me that she thinks Patrick is not real. I want to know the truth about who Patrick and Gabby are, because I am still not sure who I was talking to. And even though Kiara knows Gabby might have been lying to us, she's willing to forgive her and take her back, because they're in love, which I think is a mistake. I'm not sure what this girl is capable of. I would truly appreciate your help. Thanks, Jeanette.
I just told her to stop stalling. I was like, because if you ever love me, you should give me the answers I need.
Cool.
Gabby?
Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
Obviously, you know Jeanette and you know Kiara. Not sure if you know me and Cammie. We got involved because the profile that you are associated with might have been fake, and so here we are. We've got a lot of questions, but before we get into that, we just wanted to give you an opportunity. Others might not give you that opportunity, but we thought, let's see what you have to say for yourself before we start asking questions.
I'd rather just go with the questions for now.
All right, so tell us what went down with you and Jeanette.
Yes, I was talking to Jeanette.
Go with you.
That's Patrick.
We're just listening
The
to.
problem the whole time was that I was really up there.
Yeah.
I know.
I was like, what's this? Her playlist was called "I Love My HBCU."
You know that song? You don't know it?
So,
Oh.
I'm confused. So you
You know that one,
with
don't you?
Patrick to
You just watch anime, that's all.
No, I do HBCU, girl. I got to know my stuff.
That's the Q's favorite song.
So you made Patrick's
My
profile
dad's a Q.
so that it would appear as though
My
you
brother's a
had told your
Q.
cousin
My
that
other
you were
brother's a
open
noob.
about your relationship with Kiara.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Then why create this fake cousin and carry on a romantic relationship with Jeanette?
I guess I was just going with it.
But it was you were.
Girl, it's the nerve of me to tuck these little locks behind my ear, girl, like I really got some hair going on. I do a little bit. They getting long, you see it. And if you don't, you a hater. What is up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to my channel. At this point, it's giving welcome back to me, okay? Y'all pray for the people in Houston, okay? Hurricane Beryl came through, and she did not play with us. First of all, Garden Girlies, I have a vlog that I just have to edit, and it's gonna still go up, but this literally, it like ends the day before Beryl came through. She has completely like torn my garden up. It's so sad to think about, but I still consider myself one of the lucky ones. I was only without power for 3 days, which when the weather is consistently close to 100 degrees, that's a long time. But there are people that have been without power the entire week, and it is not expected to be restored until this coming Friday, which is the 19th, which will make like 2 weeks. This thing did a number on Houston for sure. And I know it's people like, oh, we don't care, you guys should have generators, bro. Okay, maybe so, but we still deserve empathy. Also, while I'm letting y'all know the shambles that my life is in currently, look at my finger. The Band-Aid look crazy, it does.
but I promise you it's clean. I almost cut my finger clean off with these very sharp shears while cutting back one of my plants. I'm just going through it. I'm like, I think the latest update is like there are 175,000 homes still without power or different places because businesses are also being affected. It's been a mess. Like, we have not been able to get ice nowhere. Y'all know anytime any kind of disaster happens, everybody buys up all the water instantly. The few gas stations that have power, the lines, y'all, were so insane. Like, luckily for me, I just got gas. So I was able to use my Jeep to like escape the heat for a little bit, get in some AC, charge up my phone, things like that. But you know what really grinds my gears? I look up a hotel in the area. $365. It was either $325 or $365 per night was the going rate for a room at the Hampton Inn, mind you. That is completely outrageous. Now, not only had I just gotten gas, I had also just went grocery shopping. So I lost all of my freezer foods, all of my cold foods in the fridge, all the baby's lunch, because you know I make their food. So that was a struggle to figure out on a daily basis. It was just a lot. So y'all keep Houstonians in your prayers. But that is all I got as far as that. Today's video is kind of a continuation of the last video I uploaded about guys who have these torture chambers. I was gonna include his story with theirs. The video just would have been way too long for me, not for y'all. I know how y'all get down. So instead of lumping him in with them, I had decided to just do like a part 2. So today we will be discussing the case of Robert Ben Rose and his torture chamber on wheels. So on April 2nd of 1990, a state trooper spots this 18-wheeler on the side of the road. Actually, was pulled over on the highway with his hazard lights on. There are no flat tires, at least not any that he can see, or any other obvious signs of distress, but he still assumes that the driver may need some sort of assistance, so he goes up to the truck just to check. Officer Miller approaches the truck with a flashlight, and he's walking around it, just checking out the things, and he hears some commotion going on inside. As he is walking alongside the trailer, he can hear the muffled screams of a woman coming from inside of the truck. He peeks into the cab, expecting to see the driver, but instead what he sees is a young woman that is handcuffed, gagged with a horse bit, and her hands are actually handcuffed to like the ceiling of the truck. The woman is naked, she is disheveled, she's obviously terrified, and when her eyes meet the officer, she begins to scream even more. And at that moment, he notices that the woman is not inside of the cab alone, because a man who he assumes is the driver emerges and attempts to quiet her down. The man does as he is asked. He's out of the truck to speak with Officer Miller, and he also informs the officer that he is armed, but not in a threatening way. More like a, just so you know, I got the thing on me, okay? And the man also insists that despite how it looks, this is a consensual affair going on between 2 adults. So it's really nothing to see here. The woman that is inside of the truck is a 27-year-old woman. Her real name has been protected, but we'll call her Katie. And the man is 45-year-old Robert Ben Rose. Robert was born November 22nd. That has nothing to do with Scorpios. He's outside of the Scorpio dates. 1945. He is a Sagittarius, okay? He is from Council Bluffs, Iowa, and he has spent most of his adolescence growing up with just his mother. His parents were married, but his father was in the military, so he was often overseas, deployed somewhere, performing his military duties. Now, it seems that there have always been 2 sides to Robert, like a coin. On one hand, he performs well in school, participates in athletics, he's very social, and excels at mostly everything that he puts his mind to. And on the other hand, he cannot stay out of trouble with the law, even from an early age. It begins with minor offenses like tampering with a vehicle. I'm not sure what the details of that are, but there is a record of his arrest, and it is not the only time that he is arrested while in high school. He catches a second charge for public fighting, just a thug, which his father takes the cake, okay? When Robert is just 19 years old, his father gets himself in extremely hot water when he is accused of molesting a 12-year-old girl. His father denied the accusations, but instead of going to court and defending himself, he opts to take his own life, leaving everybody to assume that that alone alone was an admission of guilt. Later that same year, Robert leaves his hometown to follow in the footsteps of his father and enlists as a Marine. But 3 years into his enlistment, he is dishonorably discharged when he is caught red-handed committing a robbery. But instead of returning to his hometown, he decides to settle right here in Houston, where he spends the next couple of years bouncing from one dead-end job to the next. While in Houston, you know, because we got the fine women out here, okay? We got the ladies. He meets a woman, falls in love, and the two get married. He and his wife then have a son. Child, just expanding his little trifling bloodline. Now, like I mentioned, he was hopping from one not so great job to the next. He really struggles to find a job that would provide him the income that he was looking for, enough, you know, to take care of his family and be a provider, partly or mostly due to his criminal background. This marriage does not last long, and it is not long before Robert here is on to the next relationship, which also escalates to marriage and very quickly ends in divorce. By 1987, he is 42 years old, twice divorced, but he has not given up on love, unfortunately. What he has given up on, though, is finding him a nice, normal 9-to-5 job that will pay him enough. When he finds out his earning potential as a truck driver, he wastes no time going out to get his CDL. He then marries a third wife, Deborah, and this is where we get a little bit of insight into the type of husband that he was, and probably why his 2 previous marriages dissolved so quickly. According to her, Robert is mentally, verbally, and sexually abusive. And she is married to Robert for just 2 years before she could not take anymore, and she was ready to sign the papers, okay? And those were the contributing factors that she listed as the cause of their divide. Robert was a freaky boy, and that is no shade to the girls and guys with the kinks, okay? He admits to being a sadomasochist. He enjoys dominating his partners and administering the punishments, but not in a normal sense. It is far more than just a kink, says Deborah about the painful perversions that he had her participating in. But what she didn't know is that what he had her do was just the tip of the iceberg of what he was really into. What she doesn't know is that Robert uses his truck and his time away on the road to satisfy his darkest of fantasies, and not with willing participants, okay? He is kidnapping, torturing, assaulting, and killing women, and he is using his truck as a traveling torture chamber. The things that he had Deborah do and what he did to her were nothing compared to what he did to these women, and Deborah has no idea. Robert has this small suitcase that he packs every time he gets ready to go onto the road, but it is not toiletries and spare clothing. It's restraints, gags, and other tools of torture like alligator clips, fish hooks, leashes, long needles like the kind that you use for piercing, adult toys, whips, pins, collars, handcuffs. It was a lot in that little bag. And he also has a pair of handcuffs that are always hanging from the top of the cab of his truck. In January of 1990, he spots 23-year-old Patricia and her husband, 27-year-old Douglas, hitchhiking right outside of El Paso, Texas. The two of them are traveling from Washington State to Georgia, and they are headed to attend a religious workshop. They are Christians. Their plan was to travel down, spreading the word on their way, have a good Christian time down in Georgia with their people, and do the same on their way back home. Their parents, both of their parents, were very concerned about this, but they felt like hitchhiking together as opposed to being solo was a lot safer. Unfortunately, they were wrong. Robert here spots them, pulls over, flashes them a very warm and welcoming smile, and offers them a ride. Now, nothing about him alarms them, so they accept the ride and they hop in. They settle into the cab. Everything seems pretty normal until about a mile into the ride. At this point, Robert's demeanor completely shifts. He drops the friendly act and without warning, fatally shoots Douglas. He discards him in Sutton County, Texas. And unfortunately, Douglas's remains are not identified for another 2 years. At the point in which he gets rid of Douglas, he places restraints on Patricia, who is doing her best to fight him off, unfortunately to no avail. And for over a week, he holds Patricia captive, acting out his very sick fantasies. After he's done everything that he wants to do to her and has grown tired of having her around, he does the same thing to her that he had done to her husband, and she is left somewhere in Utah. Because mind you, he's a truck driver that is on the road. 9 months later, on October 26th, hunters stumble across the remains and alert the police. Now, unfortunately, with no open missing persons cases in the area matching her description, she is unable to be identified, and her DNA is held in evidence until 2003, 13 years later, when DNA technology has advanced enough to confirm her identity. Her husband was able to be identified 2 years after his attack and was buried by his family. And at the time that Patricia is identified, she is sent back home to her family for a proper burial and is placed alongside her husband, which is very sad. Now, because Robert was on the move, he had figured it would be difficult for police to pinpoint like this crime to him. He was not from Utah, he was not from Washington, he was just passing through with, of course, no sort of ties to either of the victims. But just in case, just in case they were able to figure something out, he had decided to lay low for a couple of weeks before he went out to claim his next victim. A couple weeks later, at a Houston truck stop, he sits and spends his time watching this 18-year-old woman by the name of Shantel. When he finally decides to approach her, he of course puts on that fake friendly facade of his, presenting himself as this super friendly stranger. He lures her to his truck with the promise of a ride, but instead of hitting the highway, he pulls over into a wooded area and takes out a hunting knife. He then instructs Shayna to get into the cab of his truck. Obviously, it is apparent to her at this point that her life is at stake. So she begins to beg and plead with him to let her go. She tells him that if he does, she won't alert the police, she won't report him, she'll keep her mouth closed and just go on about her business as if nothing had happened. And to her surprise, it appears to work because he looks at her and he says one word: run. Shayna wastes no time. She immediately hops out of the truck, takes off into the woods, not completely convinced that he was gonna allow her to flee without attempting to run her down and chase her. But Mama makes a run for it anyway, just in case. She finds a spot in the woods to hide, and she hides there until she hears the truck start up again and drive off. And she still waits a little bit longer just to be sure. Afterwards, she heads back down to the main road and hitchhikes south. As promised, she does not alert the police. She doesn't report the incident, not yet at least. And in the meantime, Robert continues his spree. Days later, he spots yet another young couple hitchhiking. 14-year-old Regina Walters and her 18-year-old boyfriend Ricky Jones have decided to run away from home. And just like the first couple, they cross paths with Robert, who flashes them a friendly smile and offers them a ride. Again, he immediately gets rid of the male because he has no use for him. This time, he had pulled the truck over next to a wooded area, had marched Ricky into the woods, returns to the truck without him, and essays Regina. Afterward, he ties her up and they get back on the road. The weeks that follow are a complete nightmare for Regina. He chops off her hair and torments her in literally any way that he can think of, including piercing her genitalia with fish hooks. He also shaved all of her hair down there as well. He makes several stops in these remote areas where he would force her to dress up. He would provide her dresses and heels and force her to model for him while he takes pictures and pretends he is a photographer, giving her direction. Here's one of the photos taken of her too, actually. And if that is not deranged enough, on March 17th, Regina's father receives a phone call, and it is Robert calling from a payphone. He taunts the father, telling him that he is aware of Regina's location while refusing to reveal what the location is. And when her father asks if she is alive or not. Robert ends the call without giving him an answer. Robert later makes 2 more calls to her parents, this time speaking with the mother. He tells the mom that he wants to update her on her daughter's whereabouts, but he wants to do so in person. He refuses to identify himself, but she agrees to meet with him anyway, and he does not show up to the location. Instead, he keeps Regina, using her for his pleasure, taunting her family for his pleasure for over a month before he becomes bored with her and decides to strangle her with baling wire. And he does so with so much force that he nearly takes her head off. And this is believed to have happened either right at the time that he began making the calls or very shortly after. Her remains are discovered nearly a month later inside of an abandoned barn near Greenville, Illinois. At the time that she had gone missing, and even after she was discovered, police believed that Ricky was responsible for her disappearance and had done this to her, and he's now on the run, hiding from police. This is what they believe. He is not discovered until the following year, but even then he's listed as a John Doe since they are unable to identify him, which takes another 18 years to do. So all this time he was a victim himself, but believed to have been the perpetrator. And I'm sure even after the fact, they probably believed that he had eventually taken his own life, afraid that, the police would catch up with him, which is not like too crazy of an idea. It's just not what happened. After discarding Regina, Robert heads toward Arizona, and in a matter of days, he has his next victim, 27-year-old Katie, who we started the video talking about. Robert has spotted Katie at Rip Griffin's truck stop just north of Phoenix, and she was there to catch a ride. She was hitchhiking to see a friend. He used his usual tactic. He approached her, striking up a conversation, pretending to be very interested in her journey. Super friendly, harmless, none of the things that he is. And he tells her that he is more than happy to give her a lift. Almost as soon as she had hopped in his truck, she had fallen asleep, but she is awakened shortly after the sound of the truck stopping. As soon as she wakes up, Robert
We got 3
grabs
rows
her
left after
and
this
pushes
one.
her into the cab of the
Is
truck.
it,
She is
you gonna be
fighting
mad at me
back,
if I stop?
but he's a lot stronger than her, so he manages to get cuffs on her,
You're not gonna
both
be
her
here till
hands
4 o'clock.
and her feet. He takes out his suitcase
Yes, I
with
told
all of his
you.
devices.
I think your time
tells her
says 10,
that
but I'm
his
pretty sure
name
you're gonna be out
is
here.
Whips and Chains, and that he's been doing this to women for 15 years now. He viciously whips her chest and her back. He essays her and pierces both her boobs and her labia. Now, the day that Officer Miller spots him pulled over on the highway with his hazards on is the same day that he had actually picked her up, and he had spent hours torturing her before pulling over and putting those hazard lights on. And when he saw Officer Miller approaching the truck, he knew that pulling over was a terrible mistake. He is still going to try his best to wiggle his way out of this. After identifying himself to Officer Miller, let him know he had, a little weapon on him, and telling him that this was consensual, he tells the officer that this woman is, quote, not playing with a full deck, that she is a little slow, a little out of her mind. So whatever comes out of her mouth, you really can't believe it, because mama ain't there. But Officer Miller has a feeling that that is a lie, so he places cuffs on Robert and puts him in the backseat of his patrol car while he talks to Katie. Now Robert got handcuffs on behind his back and he is also seatbelted, but apparently he has the spirit of Houdini upon him. The officer returns to the truck. He speaks with the woman, who is so afraid. Like, when I tell you, this woman was hysterical. Like, she, even though the officer was there, he had the truck driver detained, she just still was not confident that she was about to be saved. It is not until the officer returns to the truck to speak with the woman that he can really see the condition that she's in. There are welts all over her chest and her back. There are cuts on her mouth. There's a horse headgear. I forgot what it's called. Is it bridle? Horse headgear is on her head and strapped around her neck. It is cutting into the sides of her mouth. It's so tight. There's also a chain connected to it that is padlocked to the truck, and her hands and feet are also cuffed. Seeing all of this, the officer immediately calls for the paramedics and for backup. He covers the woman up. He's attempting to calm her down and assure her that she is now safe, but still she is terrified that Robert is gonna return, and she is not wrong. While the officer has been distracted talking with her, calling for backup, reporting all the things back to his superiors, Robert has managed to get his hands all the way down to his feet, bringing them underneath so that the cuffs are now in front of him, which allows him to then get the seatbelt undone. And just as Officer Miller is realizing this, the backup pulls up. They find in his pocket the keys for the cuffs that are on Katie, so they're able to get her out of that. And at this point, both of them are taken down to the police station, which was kind of strange to me, because why y'all ain't take my girl to the hospital first? Strange. Photos are taken of her injuries, and she, while being videotaped, sits down with police and goes over the entire ordeal from the moment he had approached her at the truck stop to the moment that the officer walked up. And afterwards, she is given medical attention, so they didn't just, save her and send her home. And at the point at which they started Robert's interview, they have already gone through the truck and found all of his tools, plenty of evidence that supports Katie's version of events. They also find plenty of photos of Patricia and Regina, neither of whom had been discovered and identified yet. So at this point, they still have no clue the full extent of his crimes. They think that he just picked up and kidnapped this one lady and did what he did to her. When they sit him down in the interview room in front of a camera, he sits down on the couch, stretches out, and yawns as if he has not a care in the world. When they ask him about Katie, he asks them if they are familiar with the term lot lizard and explains to them what a lot lizard is, how women hang around truck stops selling themselves, and says that this is what Katie was, maintaining that this was a consensual affair, just one that he had to pay for. And then he tries to sell the narrative that he was the victim here, that he was this unlucky driver that had picked up a crazy woman, and like all of this was just in her head. When asked to explain the woman's injuries, he says, I took you up to the point where I stopped the truck. Now, I'm not gonna cross that line. I stopped the truck. I guess he couldn't figure out an explanation for that. That would sound plausible. So he just decided not to say more. It was his way of telling them, look, I've told you all I'm gonna tell you. So he just decided not to say anything else, and he has the right to stop talking at any point that he wants to. At this point, he has nothing else he wants to say to the officers. They photographed Robert's injuries as well because he also has them. He has defensive wounds on his arms from the women scratching him. He also has a bite wound that is on his side. And while they're taking pictures of his injuries, he asks them whether or not a lawyer, if he had one present, would approve of them taking photos of him. They take the photos and they go. They leave him alone in the room, but the camera is still rolling so they can see what he's doing. As soon as they leave out, he takes a long drag on a cigarette they've given him, and he winces as he touches his side where the bite mark is. Cause mama bit them ribs on him like it was the 4th of July. She was trying to get away. He is booked for aggravated assault, essay, and unlawful imprisonment. And this particular police department, they decided to make a call down to the Houston Police Department to see if he had anything pending there because that's where he lived. And at that point, they found out that a similar kidnapping had happened in Houston. He had previously abducted an 8-year-old woman and held her for 2 weeks. During that time period, he had cut her hair really short. He had shaved her pubic hair. He'd also put a collar on her and walked her around in the woods like a doll. He gave her different piercings and told her outright that she would not be surviving this ordeal. He just didn't know at what point he was going to get rid of her, but he made it very clear that it would be whenever he got tired of her. However, one evening, Robert had forgotten to close the handcuff that was supposed to secure her to the truck. She notices this, but she waits for the opportunity for her to make a run for it without him, tracing her. And as soon as that opportunity presents itself, Mama makes a run for it. She had gone to the police, unlike the first woman that he had let go, and they actually detained Robert. But when they brought her in to see him to confirm whether or not he was the guy that had done this to her, she had told them no. So at that point, they were forced to release him, and now that they have him locked up again, they reach out to her again. And at this point, she admits to them that he was her attacker, but she was just too afraid to say yes because she feared that he would come back for her, that the police could not protect her from him. And so the first time around, she felt like it was in her best interest to lie. Now get this. The detective that interviewed him wanted to take a peek inside of his apartment, but he is currently waiting on the approval of his search warrant request. Meanwhile, a woman claiming to be Robert's wife shows up at his apartment's leasing office to speak with the manager, telling her she needs access to Robert's apartment. According to her, he has instructed her to come by the apartment and have everything cleared out of it. This sparks the curiosity of the apartment manager. She nosy like I am, okay? She thinks to herself like, what's in there? He wants everything cleared out all of a sudden. So she decides to enter his apartment and take a look at herself. Inside of the apartment, she finds photos of Regina at various stages of distress, her hair at different lengths, which makes it very obvious that she has spent quite some time with him. There was also handcuffs, a lot of bondage magazines, women's clothing spread all over the place. And when the apartment manager relays this info back to the detective, the search warrant is granted. April 6th, agents swarm his apartment, and they also make attempts to track down his wife. In addition to what the apartment manager had taken note of, they find women's makeup, towels saturated with blood, and a stash of white towels. Now, both women that have survived him at this point have mentioned him laying down a white towel for them to lay on top of while he essays them. Robert's trial for Regina Walters does not begin until 1994. Meanwhile, he's been locked up this whole time. And his trial takes place in Illinois. He is found guilty of first-degree murder and dubbed the truck stop killer by the media. At the conclusion of this trial, he is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He is sent away to a maximum security prison, and while incarcerated, he brags about the murders of Patricia and Douglas, the other couple, which lands him right back in court. In 2005, he's extradited to Utah to face those charges. Robert is presented a plea deal at this point because he was facing the death penalty there. He doesn't want that, and they really don't want to spend the time and the money on a trial. So in exchange for him just pleading guilty, he receives an additional life sentence instead of being sent to that chair or poked with the needle. Now, according to the district attorney in this case, when Robert walked into the courtroom, the energy inside the room just became really heavy, and you could just feel the presence of evil, is what they said. He said it made the hairs on his arms stand up. Other officers have made similar claims about the time that they spent speaking with Robert, that he was just evil, and you could feel it. Like it just radiated off of him. Robert is believed to have over 50 victims in all. They believe that he was active between 1975 to 1990 when he was actually caught. But because most of his victims were either sex workers or hitchhikers, it is difficult to confirm exactly who and how many people that he has gotten his hands on. They did attempt to identify more victims of his. They got a hold of his truck logs and cross-referenced them with records of young women who have been reported missing within that 15-year span, and the possibilities are endless. Unfortunately, though, without him confessing or them finding evidence that ties him directly to them, it's really impossible to know exactly how many lives this man has ruined. But the FBI's theory is that this man killed, on average, 3 women a month for the entire 15-year span, and that would be 540 women. Not to mention their partners when he would pick up too, because he apparently liked to do that a lot. And his most recent wife, Deborah, she spoke with police after the fact. She said she had no clue that he was up to any of this, and she was completely shocked when everything came out. She also said that she felt guilty for participating in the fantasies that she did because she felt like it kind of encouraged his perverse behavior. But girl, his daddy was a pervert. That was just in him. It was not your fault. Fast forward to 2015, a photo of a young woman taken by Robert is shared on Facebook by several law enforcement agencies in an attempt to identify her. They believe her to also be a victim of his. They don't know if she's living or not, but they're hopeful that somebody who knows who this woman is comes forward, right? To at least give them a starting point. But the woman herself, Pamela Milliken, actually is the person that comes forward, and she tells police that she had been hitchhiking back in 1985 when she was picked up by Robert. She says that as soon as she had gotten into his truck, he had taken this photo of her, and this is the picture here. And when she asked him, like, why are you taking this picture of me? That's weird. He told her that he kept a photo of all of his passengers just in case he needed to speak with the police about them later, because people are dangerous and one of them could easily drive him and run away. But if he has this photo of them, he has a picture to show the authorities. He had then, after explaining this, pointed to a sign on his dashboard that said, cash, grass, or ass. No one rides for free. Now, she admits that she did not have any money. She was also drug-free, and so she knew which of the three that it would be. So while admitting that it was not her proudest, fondest memory or moment, she gave him what she had on hand because she had somewhere to be. She was trying to get there. She says that it was 100% consensual. The two of them rode for a while before he dropped her off in Winnipeg, Missouri, and went on to complete his route. And I mean, she had nothing but good things to say about him. He had not tried to attack her or violate her in any way. Unfortunately, not everyone was lucky enough to have that 5-star experience with him. Robert is now 78 and will perish behind bars because even if he manages somehow, some way to weasel out of this life sentence he is currently serving, he would immediately be extradited to Utah where he got his second life sentence, and he will start serving that one. So mama ain't getting out of prison, okay? Not now, not ever. For now, he's at the Menard Correctional Center in Chester, Illinois, in case y'all want to send him a little bit of hate mail. Looking like Popeye the Sailor Man. Now, how his eye done got smaller over the years is what I want to know. And if your eye done got smaller too, that's no shade. We're not talking about you. You my girl. We talking about him. Whose child eye done got smaller, hair thin and neck loose. Several books have been published about him since he has been locked up. And look, y'all, he gonna write this letter from his cell. Let me move over so I can put a photo. He gonna write this letter from his cell threatening the pseudo girls for using his likeness. Y'all want me to read it? Hold on. It says, do not use my name, my image, or any information about me anytime for any reason. If you use my name, my image, or any information about me whatsoever, I will sue you for every penny you have. Signed, Robert Ben Rose. Or he might try to sue me. So yeah, y'all, if he tries to sue your girl, I might start off a GoFundMe for my legal fees, you know? I'll let y'all know if a girl gets her a little piece of cease and desist or a letter from being sued. Child, I will cackle. When I tell you I will laugh so hard from the depths of my soul, y'all know I barely take anything serious. I don't give a damn how to write him a letter. I've really been into like the darker top lip look lately. Anywho, that is it for today's video. In the case, please let me know your thoughts down below. Like the video, it really helps the channel a lot. I know I'm going through enough. Don't be like, girl, like my video. Share the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not. As always, I appreciate you so much for spending your precious time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace. So today we'll be I got a little piece of vitiligo on my forehead, so the struggles just continue to go on and on, performing his military duties. Now, Robert here is the person that spots them. Robert here, he pulls over into a I was about to say haunted. It wasn't haunted, girl. It's probably haunted now. After getting rid of Regina, when I say he, I mean, I got hair on my lip, girl. By the time he had pulled over and put those houses on, they found the keys to the cuffs on him. My girl FaceTime me from Costa Rica. Hold on, girl. Hey, girl. Hello. Are you recording? I am. I don't even know what I was saying before my girl called. Okay. He's booked for kidnapping. No, he's not. And as soon as the opportunity. And so at that point, they were forced to release him.
Thank you, Ryan.
Before I start malfunctioning on camera. She's like sanity. Bella girl has entered the chat. Hi, my precious girl. You're so beautiful. Piggy, piggy, you're so pretty. Piggy, piggy, you're so pretty. Okay, baby. I hear my baby crying. I can hear you. Crying out for me. Oh, I almost carried the note, girl. I need you to let me finish this. Not you getting up and leaving. Don't do my girl like that. Don't do my girl.
Your butt hurt still?
No. My feet. I've stuck them there and I was like, oh wait, my feet are stuck. Let me.
I'll let you. I'm gonna do half of this and then you can get back on the bed. But you can feel how much we are with us. It's not a head full.
It's up to you, girl. I don't really care. I've sat through longer.
This was
beforehand, which I'm shocked. Honestly, like I said, there's a lot to unpack with this guy here. So without further ado, let's just get right into his story. Let me also preface this by saying, because you know how you girls like to tussle. When my version of events do not coincide with the scripted Netflix series that you have watched, it should go without saying, but it doesn't. For some, a lot of these shows that you watch are based on true events, meaning that it takes some of the truth and add a whole bunch of fiction from a team of writers that they have hired. And most of what you are seeing is the product of the team of writers' imagination. Also, really quick before I get into today's video, shout out to everybody who was a part of the birthday live stream, like virtual meet and greet. It was really fun. I did not expect all of y'all to just crowd the queue like that. I think the queue only holds like 10 people, so you have to wait on somebody to drop out to, then come in. The queue stayed at 10 the entire night. I thought at the most that I would be online for like an hour, hour and a half, talk to about 5 of y'all, but it was almost 3 hours instead. And the queue, it was fun, it was cute. I'm pretty sure I'll do it again in the future, don't know when, but I had a lot of fun, and I appreciate all of you who were there, who joined the live, was in a super chat. Y'all made it rain on my birthday. Like, I was literally about to won. So I'm feeling obligated to just throw it in a circle for some of the coins I was receiving. It was a lot. Thank you. All right, enough about me. Let's talk about Chris and get into his business. Christopher Dunch was born April 3rd, 1971, making him an Aries. And they receive a lot of heat. So I'm not going to go in and say how he definitely gives Aries energy. I'm not going to point it out. We're going to let the Aries slide. Now, he was born in Montana, but not long after his birth, his family moved to a suburb in Mississippi called Cordova. Shout out to the people in Cordova. Christian missionary of all things. But you know, if you don't preach to children, that'd be the bad. And his mother was a school teacher. In total, they have 3 children, that is, of course, including Chris. Unfortunately, there was not a whole lot of information, or really none at all, about his childhood and what that was like. However, we do know that after high school, he attended the University of Memphis and then enrolled into the University of Tennessee Health Center with hopes and dreams of becoming one.
I am dead. I can't. That was funny. Somebody said that bad. So, yo, that was so funny. My phone fell.
Alleged drug use during his 4th year of his residency, all kinds of illegal substances.
Yes, I did drop y'all. I'm sorry.
He was into all of the things, and he was witnessed taking said things on his shift. The girlfriend of his best friend, Jerry Summers, at the time alleged that the 3 of them would go out partying all night, partaking in all kinds of substances, and then at the end of the night, which was technically like the next morning, he would just throw on his lab coat without having any kind of nap, any kind of bath, or coming down off of cloud 9 before heading into work. When the rumors reach up high enough, he is asked to take a drug test, and he refuses to do so. At this point, he could give up on his dreams of becoming this great surgeon, or he could go to this program, the Impaired Physicians Program. And once he completed that, he could then come back and complete his residency. So ultimately, that's what he does. He opts to go to the program, then he comes back, complete the residency after spending 5 years studying neurosurgery, and then 1 additional year
I said I did good on timing for this to be this small.
Yeah, you did.
He also began dating a woman by the name of Wendy. And the two, over the course of their relationship, have 2 sons. Now, Chris has
was chosen the field of neurosurgery because of the amount of money that came with it, which he is desperately needing now that he has all of his debt for medical school. It was well over $500,000 by the time he graduated. In 2010, he and Wendy moved to her hometown of Dallas, Texas, where he is hired at Baylor Regional Medical Center as a spinal surgeon. And with a salary of over $600,000 plus yearly bonuses, Chris is well on his way to being able to take care of all of the debt that came along with medical schooling and being able to buy all of the things, all of the nice things for Miss Wendy. But it is not long before his new coworkers begin to notice that something is not quite right with the new doctor. He will boast and brag all of the time about his skill level, his extensive knowledge of all of the things surgery related, and him pretty much just being that girl when it comes to surgery. But at the same time, little things like the proper use of a scalpel seem to be beyond the doctor's comprehension. And people were noticing that this was not adding up. The math was not mathing. Despite his obvious lack of skill, he is able to convince those around him with his arrogance and boldness that he is in fact one of the best surgeons in the state. Chris has extreme confidence and will make extremely bold claims walking through the halls of the hospitals. Very arrogant statements such as, everybody is doing it wrong, I'm the most clean and minimally invasive surgeon in all of the state. And if these things are not problematic enough, he begins an affair with his research assistant, Kimberly. Now, in addition to being a surgeon at the Baylor Regional Medical Center, he is also brought on as a spinal surgeon with the Minimally Invasive Spine Institute, which was separate from Baylor. Unfortunately for Chris, he cannot live up to his own personal hype, and he only performs one surgery with the Spinal Institute before he is kicked out of the door. Chris performed a surgery on one of his patients and immediately boarded a flight to Las Vegas to go on vacation without leaving anybody to check on his patient or do any kind of follow-up, nothing. He just was like, all right, girl, happy healing, and left. And they did not appreciate that at all. So they just went on and let him go. But fortunately for him, he still has his job at Baylor. February 2012, Chris's best friend, Jerry Summers, is having a little back issue. Luckily for him, his best friend is a neurosurgeon. Chris convinces Jerry to allow him to perform the surgery. It was classified as an elective spinal fusion, and so although that is a major surgery, it's allegedly not supposed to be that difficult of a task for Chris. The two of them have been friends since childhood. Jerry completely trusts Chris and is confident in Chris's ability to perform the surgery correctly, as Chris had told him that it was relatively straightforward and easy. But when Jerry wakes up from this surgery, he is a quadriplegic with incomplete paralysis, meaning that he can still feel pain, but he cannot move from the neck down. Now, as a result of this, Chris has his surgical rights suspended, meaning that, he was still in the hospital, still able to work, but he was not able to perform any surgery, at least not for a couple of weeks. This was only temporary, and his rights are fully reinstated roughly a month later after he passes a drug test and also passes a peer interview. Chris is just asked to refrain from performing such complicated procedures for a little while, and he is assigned his next patient, which is 55-year-old Kelly Martin. Now, Mrs. Martin had fallen down from the attic while assisting her husband bringing down the Christmas decorations. She had slipped and herniated a disc in her back, and this caused her to have chronic back pain, which she was getting tired of. Physical therapy, the prescriptions, none of that was working long term, and she also had a limited movement in her back, and so her doctor recommends that she go see a neurosurgeon to explore the options of permanently correcting and alleviating these side effects from the fall. And of course, the doctor that she ends up making an appointment with is Chris. Now, surgery is a big deal, especially any surgery that you have on your back, like near your spine. And so rightfully so, she has a lot of reservations about having this surgery. She's a little afraid, but Chris reassures her that there is nothing to worry about. What she needs is a relatively routine
common procedure, basically minor, won't take that long at all to perform, and will completely alleviate her of all of the issues that she's experiencing as a result of her nasty little fall. After meeting with Chris, her and her husband both felt really confident in his ability to help them out. They found him to be extremely articulate. He sounded very knowledgeable about all of the things that they had discussed. He answered all of their questions with a lot of confidence, and he just made them feel really comfortable that he was that guy, that he was going to do what needed to be done. But unfortunately, it does not turn out to be so simple of a surgery. 2 hours after the operation begins, Kelly is still in surgery, and this is way past the amount of time that he had told them that the surgery would take. During her surgery, Chris had sliced through an artery and refused to stop the surgery, despite the amount of blood that she was losing. There was a trauma surgeon present in the OR who tried to stop him at this point and warn him about the blood loss, as well as the anesthesiologist. They both tried to let him know, like, hey, this is not going well. Maybe you should stop. Maybe you should hand this over, escalate it, because you obviously do not have this under control. But he refused to acknowledge that anything was wrong. Instead, he finishes the surgery, and when Kelly wakes up from her anesthesia, she is screaming and clawing at her legs because she cannot move them. She was so hysterical that the intensive care team had to sedate her. Chris never comes back to check on his patient, even when she codes. He is sitting, writing notes, hears over the speaker that his patient is coded, and he does not budge at all. Sadly, as a result of this botched operation, Mrs. Martin bleeds to death. And finally, after hours of waiting in the waiting room, Kelly's husband and daughters are given the devastating news that she had not made it through the surgery. After this, Baylor issues a review of Chris's practices, and before the review is complete and they can fire him because he already knew what was coming, he decided to resign instead. He knew that had he been fired, they would have been required to report him to the National Practitioners Data Bank, which is set up to flag any problematic physicians. But it is not long before Chris secures his next job. He joins the team at the Dallas Medical Center, where he is granted temporary privileges until the hospital could obtain his records from his previous job at Baylor. And child, before they could even get the records from Baylor, the red flags begin to fly. The nurses had noticed that Mr. Chris seems to be under the influence a lot of the time while he is there on duty. And not only that, he will wear the same set of scrubs for multiple days in a row, like up to 3 days in a row. Very unsanitary, if you think about it. Nevertheless, they allow him to go forward and begin working on patients with his temporary privileges. And his first patient is 63-year-old Flo Brown in July of 2012. During the surgery that is being performed on her vertebrae, Chris severs an artery and he begins packing it with the substance that is intended to stop the bleeding. Now, another surgeon that is overseeing the operation attempts to step in and stop him from causing any further damage, but it was too late. Flo suffers a stroke as a result of what Chris had done to her. Chris then goes home for the night as if he had successfully, saved a life or something, and refuses to respond to messages that he is receiving from the hospital all night long. Instead, he returns to the hospital the following day and schedules an elective surgery on his next patient rather than follow up with the current patient, who is currently in a coma. And the hospital urges him to delay the next surgery and focus on Mrs. Brown, who obviously needs his assistance and needs his care. Either that or transfer her out of his care altogether, but he refuses to do that. He's like, no, this is my patient, and I will come up with a plan, which he does. Y'all, his plan of action was to drill a hole in her head to alleviate pressure. He said that this will surely help with Ms. Brown's condition. And the hospital said absolutely not. Absolutely not, sir. We will not approve that at all. For multiple reasons. One, you don't have the credentials to be drilling in people's heads, sir. Two, we don't have the tools for you to do so. You don't even have the privileges to do anything like this. And so we cannot approve this. And of course, he knows all of this, but he wanted to do it anyway. And that is literally all that he comes up with as a remedy for her condition. After it is made clear to him that he will not be drilling a hole in this lady's baby. Chris finally completes the transfer that will allow her to be cared for by a different physician and removed from underneath his care. But by this time, it is too late, and Mrs. Brown unfortunately is declared brain dead. Christopher doesn't express any type of remorse, any type of guilt or responsibility for the outcome of what had happened. Instead, he just moves on to the next patient that he had scheduled that elective surgery for and sets his attention on 74-year-old Mary Elford. Mary had come to the Dallas Medical Center for a spinal fusion, and unfortunately, Chris is the doctor that she makes an appointment with. During her procedure, he severs a nerve root while operating on the wrong part of her back altogether. Now, there are colleagues present who are warning him that, sir, what you're doing is not quite right. Some of the team members that are present also speculate that Chris is under the influence of something, and notice that his pupils were completely dilated. Unfortunately, though, none of their concerns are escalated during the surgery so that it could be stopped, and so he just continues to work on this lady, just doing whatever he wants to do. Hours later, Mary wakes up from her surgery in excruciating pain and partially paralyzed. Seasoned long-term spinal surgeon Dr. Robert Henderson is enlisted to perform a second operation to correct the errors made during the first, and he described the things that have been done to her as straight up assault. When he opens her up, he sees that Chris has twisted screws into nerves. There are other screws with severed nerves twisted around them. He had left screw holes in the opposite side of her spine that he wasn't even supposed to be tampering with. Like he had tried to make screws go in but couldn't, so he just changed his mind. And then now there are these screw holes left behind. He had left surgical hardware inside of tissue, and it was so loose that you could move it with your hand, like just wiggle it around. That is not the worst of it. In the end, he had done all of that and still failed to remove the disc that he went in there to remove. The man had put screws into muscle instead of bone, and I have been to nobody's surgical school. They did not teach me any of the things at Woodale High School in Memphis, Tennessee. But I know that you put screws into bone and not tissue, my girl. So how do you make this mistake? As a classically trained surgeon, Dr. Henderson describes Chris's work as the chaotic equivalent of a child playing with Tinker Toys, like on an operation game. He could not believe that this was the work of an actual real surgeon. At this point, he was convinced that Chris was an imposter doctor altogether. He said that anybody with a basic knowledge of anatomy would not have made the mistakes that Chris made. Like, hello, me? He was so convinced that Chris was not a real doctor that he took it upon himself to check Chris's credentials. He contacted the University of Tennessee to confirm that he had in fact attended and gotten his degree, and then went so far as to contact the supervisor that worked with him during his residency. And that is when he finds out about the incident that led to Chris needing to go to the impaired physicians program. Luckily for the patient, the corrective surgery was somewhat of a success. She was left partially paralyzed, but if it was not for the help of Dr. Henderson, she would have been left completely bedridden for the rest of her life. Even after all of these things, the Dallas Medical Center does not report him or the incident to the National Practitioner Database, because by law, they are not required to do so for surgeons who have temporary privileges, which is what he had at the time. Because mind you, they're still waiting on his records from Baylor. All of this happened within the first week of him working there. Now, they do, however, fire him. They got him out of there. Chris quickly secures his next position with Southampton Community Hospital, where he performs another 4 botched surgeries. He also takes a job at an outpatient clinic called Legacy Surgery Center, and while there, he performs an operation that goes terribly wrong, leaving this patient without feeling on the entire right side of their body. There's also a patient by the name of Philip at the outpatient surgery center whose spinal cord he drilled into, leaving him paralyzed from the neck down. After his antics at Southampton, he is set to remove degenerated discs in one of his patients' back. And after this surgery, there was surgical hardware left floating between the the patient's spine and muscle, and the patient wakes up in excruciating pain. But Chris convinces him somehow that it's just part of the process. Like, it is surgery, sir. There is a level of pain to be expected. This is all normal. He then prescribes the patient so many painkillers that a local pharmacist refused to fill the prescription. Ultimately, this patient developed a dependency on all of the drugs that Chris was prescribing him. He ended up losing his wife. He lost his job. Like, his life completely spiraled downhill after dealing with Chris and his antics. Jacqueline Troy was another one of the 4 botched operations performed at Southampton. During her procedure, Chris cuts one of her arteries and her vocal cords, and also damages her trachea. She is left barely able to speak above a whisper and had to be sedated for weeks following her operation. Because of the damage done to her trachea, she also had to be fed using feeding tubes exclusively to avoid food getting into her lungs. It was a lot going on. And despite these 2 operations going horribly wrong due to Chris's obvious negligence, Southampton opts to keep him as a part of their team, and then they changed the name from Southampton Hospital to University General Hospital. The worst of the 4 operations performed there was one done on a patient by the name of Jeff Gladwell. Jeff has to undergo an additional 50 operations to correct the things that were done to him while Chris was working on him. During the routine fusion, Chris had mistaken part of Jeff's neck for a tumor, severed one of his vocal cords, put a hole in his esophagus, and sliced an artery. Now, that is not the end, because those 3 things he has done before. Once Jeff begins to hemorrhage, Chris stuffs surgical sponges inside of Jeff's throat to stop the bleeding, then closes his patient with the sponges still there in place, despite the others in the operating room who had advised him not to do so. Like, hey,
my
sir,
hand's starting
I
to
don't know if you
cramp.
noticed, but the sponges are still there. And he's like, oh no, it's fine. Like, don't
I said my
worry
hand's
about that.
starting to cramp
Now,
up.
these sponges
Yeah.
cause an infection quickly, and unfortunately, Jeff becomes septic. When they realize that the sponge is in fact the issue here and that it had been left there because nobody in the operating room reported it, Chris refused to return to the operating room to correct the issue. He wanted no parts of the correction of the issue. Instead, yet again, another well-seasoned, know what they doing as surgeon has to step in and correct his errors. Dr. Kirby goes in to remove the sponge, and he is horrified at not just the sponge, but everything else that he sees that Chris had done to this patient. He describes the work of Chris as the work of a crazed maniac. He actually suggested that Chris had tried to kill this man. Like, it was his opinion that this was all done with malice and on purpose. In the end, after the corrective surgery with Dr. Kirby, Jeff is left with only one vocal cord, permanent damage to his esophagus, and partial paralysis on his left side. Now, this botched operation was the final straw for Southampton, or whatever their new name was now, child. They fire him. But he is not only fired. A detailed report put together by Dr. Kirby himself is sent to the Texas Medical Board, branding Chris as a complete sociopath who is a huge threat and danger to the public. Now, with the help of Dr. Henderson, who had cleaned up Chris's previous mess, he and Dr. Kirby put a lot of pressure on the Texas Medical Board to investigate Chris. And finally, in June of 2013, they decide to suspend Chris's license and investigate and keep him from doing any surgeries in the meantime. Now, once the investigation is complete, which takes about 6 months or so to do, they decide that they are going to revoke his license completely. And after this, Chris's little life just went into a downward spiral, bro. Just everything was happening to Chris. Chris filed for bankruptcy, claiming to be over $1 million in debt. He moves to Denver, Colorado. He is arrested for driving under the influence. It is also called stealing. He is arrested for shoplifting. But honey, that is the least of little Chris's problems. In March of 2014, 3 former patients, Mary Kenneth and Lee Passmore, who had come to him to resolve back pain, but instead got intoxicated Chris down in the OR, Baby, at this point, let Chris Brown perform my surgeries. Period. I'd rather take my chances in the OR with Chris Brown. In Lee's case, literally as soon as the operation began, the other people in the room noticed that something was terribly wrong, and Chris was doing a lot of the things that were both alarming and unusual. And when the patient began to lose a lot of blood, another surgeon in the OR decides to step in and suggest that he stop because he's not doing it great. Especially because he no longer has a clear view of the patient's spine because of the amount of blood, and he is still just in there tinkering around blindly at this point. However, Chris does not take the advice of the other surgeon. Instead, he begins removing parts of the patient's spine and adding supportive hardware in the wrong places. The other surgeon at this point attempts to physically stop Chris from continuing the operation, and afterward refused to enter the OR with him ever again in life. He refused to work with Chris after this. Still, none of the doctors or the nurses or anybody that was present reported what Chris had done. They did not report the altercation between the two surgeons, just none of it, gross. None of the things were reported. It's just everybody left the OR and acted like nothing ever happened. And unfortunately for Lee, because of how the screws have been placed, they could not be corrected. And so he was left with chronic back pain and limited movement for the rest of his life. Now, all three of these patients filed separate federal lawsuits against Baylor, alleging that the hospital allowed Chris to perform surgeries despite knowing he was a dangerous physician. And they accused Baylor Hospital of only caring about the $65,000 that they profited off of each of the surgeries that Chris performed. Now, apparently, the necessary requirements to prove malpractice are extremely high and unrealistic in Texas. It is nearly impossible to prove that the clinic or the physician themselves had any ill intent or intended to harm the patient. And so that was no easy task for them. That was not something that they could really do. But Dr. Henderson and Dr. Kirby are not done with little Chris, okay? After having his license revoked, they did not stop there because they knew that it was possible that he could go somewhere else, get his license reinstated, and be back in the operating room in little to no time. Both of them were completely and 100% convinced that all of these things were done on purpose. That Chris was this crazed psychopath out here doing all of the things, intentionally trying to harm his patients, and he needed to be stopped ASAP. They go to the Dallas DA's office to try to have criminal charges brought against Chris, and unfortunately, like I previously stated, because of how hard it is to prove that his intent was to harm these people, it wasn't an easy task, and the inquiry goes nowhere for a couple of years. It is not until 2015 that they begin to make a little headway. An email surfaces that Chris had sent saying, quote, "I am ready to leave the loving kindness and goodness and patience that I mix with everything else that I am and become a cold-blooded killer." Now, they had always made the fact that it's hard to prove intent this huge problem. But here it is in black and white, literally, in an email. After interviewing with dozens of his former colleagues, people who had been in the OR with him, nursing staff, literally everyone, the prosecutors conclude that Chris's actions were in fact criminal, and nothing short of imprisonment would do, because he was a danger to the public. The only way to ensure that he would never get the opportunity to operate on a patient ever in life again is to send him to jail. Chris is arrested and charged with 6 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. I guess the deadly weapon was that scalpel or the screwdriver that he was using with these screws. 5 counts of aggravated assault causing injury and 1 count of injury to an elderly person. During this trial, a lot of people who did not speak up during all of the things came forward to talk about it later, which was, I guess, a good thing. Like, come forward now. That's the least you could do, honestly. Credible doctors come forward and testify that the things that Chris had done could have never been done by mistake by anyone who had gone to medical school. Like, it literally was impossible. Nobody was this dumb, is basically what they were saying. No doctor is this dumb. One of the witnesses came forward and claimed that Chris would come to work at the hospital, have vodka and juice for breakfast, like it was his coffee, and they had witnessed him drinking vodka throughout the day, but only the morning drink would have some orange juice in it. The rest of the drinks throughout the day were just straight up vodka, no chaser, just straight. Even if the mistress Kimberly came forward and testified about the inappropriate things that she had seen taking place while those two had their little rendezvous, if I go to court and one of my exes walk in as a witness for the prosecution, I'm just gonna get up, try to take me back to my cell. Just take me on back there and give my people the address where they can write me and send me noodles. Because I just already know. She also tells the court about how she had to file for a protective order against him after she had decided to sever their relationship, and he continued to show up at her home, banging on her door, trying to kick it down, knocking on her windows, just doing the most. She let them know that Chris was, in fact, a very bad boy. And you know the exes are gonna always come with the receipts too, because she had emails that she presented to the court where he said, quote, anyone close to me thinks that I am something between God, Einstein, and the Antichrist. Because I can do anything that I want and cross any discipline boundary, like it's a playground and never lose. Sir, this is America. You don't have to be any of those things. You just have to look the way that you do. In February of 2017, Christopher Dunch, aka Dr. Death, which they had coined him by now, is found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment for his actions. During his very, very short career, I believe he was only active as a surgeon for 2 years. He had seen 38 patients. 31 of them were left either permanently paralyzed or severely injured, and 2 of them lost their life. All right, so I asked my natural hair to hold this curl for me, and she did not. Y'all wonder why y'all don't see my natural hair? It's because Miss Mama doesn't do anything I ask her to do. Okay, nothing. So while we was going months, I did say that I was going to try to wear my natural hair more often, so we're gonna give this a chance or whatever. Anywho, unfortunately, in February of 2021, Jerry, the best friend of Chris, whom he paralyzed, unfortunately passed away due to an infection which was somehow caused by his quadriplegia, and this meant that Chris could legally be charged now for his friend's death. But Jerry had forgiven his friend, and he had made it very clear before his passing that he did not want Chris to suffer any kind of consequences for what he had done to him. None. Better friend than me, because best friend or not, let me tell you this, hear me, and I know it's hear ye, but I'm saying hear me. If such a situation transpired between my best friend and I, y'all could throw her in some hot fish grease for all I care. And I know that's horrible to say. If it is, I just have to see my girl in hell. Okay? I say let's see. But I guess good on him for, finding forgiveness in his heart, honestly. Now, after his sentencing, he was transferred to O.B. Ellis in Huntsville, Texas, where he currently resides. He will not be eligible for parole until 2045, and he will be 74 years old. The same age Miss Mary was when he did what he had done to her. Y'all's niece, Belly's getting so big, and the thing is, stop licking the mic, girl. Please. Her teeth are just doing the weirdest things. So she lost the whole bottom row. Mine is like the long ones. She lost all of them, girls. They vacated the premises altogether almost a month ago. Why have only 2 of them come back? The top is falling out now. She can barely keep her tongue in her mouth. It just hangs out the front because there's no little teeth. There's no gate to keep it in there. And then she has this one big tooth at the top that has already come in within a matter of like hours of the top row falling out, which really makes me concerned about the bottom because, girl, they've been vacant for weeks. Like, I don't know if this is normal. People keep telling me that it is, but it's like, girl, I don't know. And then that little one that's at the bottom is just as crooked as it can be, girl. It's just in there, just damn near sideways. Now, like I previously briefly touched on at the beginning of the video, there is a TV series about Chris on some network, can't remember, sorry. It is called Dr. Dead. There's, of course, an actor playing him, as well as the 2 doctors who pretty much single-handedly came through and took this down. Dr. Robert Henderson and Dr. Randall Kirby. Now, I did not personally watch the miniseries because that honestly would not have been conducive to my research. It is partly fiction, probably mostly fiction. But now I am kind of interested, and so I might go back and watch if I remember, which I probably won't. I got the attention span of a grapefruit, okay? Yeah, this story was really a lot. It was a wild one. Speaking of watching things, I know I'm hopping all over the place because I'm thinking about telling the story of how this lady almost killed Blue the other day, which will be like his second near-death experience since we've been here. You know what? I'm gonna tell it. But first, speaking of what I've been watching, y'all, I watched The Heart of They Fall. This is not a spoiler, FYI, not a spoiler. I watched The Heart of They Fall. I'm the type of girl who cannot sit still for longer than about an hour, and my threshold is about an hour and 10 minutes. Around that hour and 9-minute mark, I'm gonna get antsy. If I don't like going to the movies for that reason, I will not go if it is over an hour and 20 minutes. Because I know I just can't, bro. I be trying to can, but I cannot sit still for that long. And it usually does not matter if the movie is good or not. I don't care. It's just, I can't. It's as if there's an internal timer that goes off that says, girl, we need to get up and move and do some things because this is enough of this. There are countless movies out there that I have started watching and had to come back to later, and a lot of them I never came back to because it's like, if it's not extremely good and I'm not wondering what happened to Diane, I just have to know, I'm not going back and watch. I just want to know what happened to this mama. I'm not going back to watch it. So I knew when I looked at the length of this movie and saw over 2 hours, I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to do it. However, now I'd be lying if I said I watched the movie straight through. I did not. I watched it for about close to an hour. Took a break. I said, you know what, I'm gonna go walk my dog. Took them downstairs. But in the little time that it took me to take them downstairs, walk them around for 30 minutes, I was back to wondering, like, what happened next? What was next? So I went back and finished it. That's unheard of for me. And all I'm gonna say about the movie, besides the fact that it is great and that Regina King's accent is one of the worst accents I've ever heard. Because, girl, what was that? Why did you sound like that? Was she supposed to be country? Like, I still don't have any level of understanding as to why it sounded the way that she did. And it's upsetting me and my homegirls over on Instagram who I talked about this with. All I'm gonna say is that I am upset, Jim. And that's why I'm upset. And so that I'm gonna leave it at that. Because I know some of y'all haven't watched it. And you know what? I'm also need Lakeith Stanfield to play more likable characters. Because at this point, you know how some of these characters get typecast and in your mind they can never be a good guy. Like they're always gonna be the villain. You can see them playing a missionary down to the church, passing out hot plates to hungry children and breastfeeding women, and you still won't like them. Lakeith Stanfield is becoming that person for me. The last thing I watched him in was Judas and the Black Messiah. At this point, I don't like him. And he was so likable for those 3 minutes and Get Out. Like, I don't understand. There was even this one day that I found him attractive and thought he was fine. I'm really perplexed as to how we got here. I know how we got here. Judas and the Black Messiah and The Heart of They Fall is how we got here. Anyway, it's on Netflix. We all know somebody with an account. Check it out when you get a chance. It really is worth the 2 hours of your life. Now to the story of how Blue almost lost his the other day, and how my freedom was almost lost as well. Because y'all know that's my child in my mind. There is this designated dog area in my apartment, and it is gated, of course, to keep the dogs from running in and out, going into the street. Now, right next to it is a driveway, and then once you get to the end of the driveway, there's a busy street, and then there's a little piece of highway. So I'm already there with Blue and Bella. This lady comes up with 2 big dogs. Y'all see my dog size. They're not big dogs. Now this lady is coming with these 2 big dogs. And my dogs get excited when they see new dogs. They bark, but it's like a friendly bark. Like they want to play. They get so excited. Not aggressive at all. So she asks, are they friendly? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, so these are friendly barks? I'm like, yes, they are. They just get excited. I'm trying to explain that to her. So I'm like, it's time for you to bring them in. Like, they'll play. She comes in, and I pick Bella up. Because Bella, we're working on her social skills. She will not just do the regular, let me sniff your butt and you sniff mine. She wants to jump all on the dog and sniff like crazy. You don't give them puppy energy. You know what they give. So I didn't want her to do that to the ladies' dogs right away. I wanted them to get in and then slowly, I hold her back and just introduce her. That's what's going on. So once Bella feels like she's gonna calm down and act like she has some sense, I put her down on the ground and she goes jumping up on the lady's dogs. The dogs are acting afraid, even though Bella's just so tiny, but the dogs are spooked a little bit by Bella's presence. And so she was like, I'll just leave. And I'm like, you don't have to leave, I'll leave. But she's like, no, I'll leave. So I guess she was annoyed by Bella jumping up on her dog. She goes out of the gate and leaves it open. Does not close it behind her. Lou sees her leaving with the dog, bolts out of the gate. Bella runs out of the gate. I'm just one person with two dogs. I grab Bella first because she has the least sense of the two. Put her back inside of the park, secure the gate. Meanwhile, this woman is walking toward the street and Blue is following her and her dog. And she's like, oh no, he's following me. And I'm like, UDA. For one, common courtesy is to make sure the gate is closed behind me to keep other people's dogs from running out and getting hit by a car. Now, if I fail to do so, and I've noticed that your dog is following me and my dog, I'm not going to walk toward the street. I'm going to come back toward you so you can get your dog safely. She is steadily walking. Then here comes a car. She still does not turn around. I'm like calling Blue's name. He is ignoring me because he is so excited about all the things going on around him. Little does he know he's about to lose his damn life. And she is yelling for the car, stop! And I'm like, are you dumb? You stop. Both of y'all stop. Somebody stop. The car zooms past them and damn near hits my dog. She's screaming her head off. I'm yelling because I'm thinking my dog is about to get by a car. And then somehow I'm going to end up with a mugshot today. Finally, I catch up to them. So her screaming, my yelling, and the car scared Blue. His ears go back. He looks at me. His eyes are huge, and I can tell he's afraid and nervous. So I'm like, sit, Blue. And he sits down, but he is so terrified at this point that he just completely just lays down on his side in the street. Like, he just fucking plays dead at this point. And I get to him, I put the leash on him, and walk him back to the dog park. Get Bella, who is in there looking like a crazy maniac, because she always looks like that. And I'm just pissed off at this point because all of this happened and none of it had to. And it's just like, girl, did you do that on purpose? Like, was that on purpose thing? Because I'm kind of getting the vibes that that was on purpose. I just don't believe that somebody is just that mentally absent. Like, I don't know, am I reaching? That definitely felt very purposeful. It honestly just irritates me to think about. And I just know, had my baby been hurt, it just would have been really bad, honestly and truly. Y'all, Charlotte Tilbury, shout out to them because they hooked mother up. They sent me a couple of very few products. A couple of them I have used in today's video. Y'all see that mess taking place in the back? Maybe you can't because I got a dark back there. Bella is in Blue's beer, sucking on Blue's teddy bear, and she has picked up the habit from him. Anyway, on a lighter note, on the subject of the dog park, we met this adorable little shih tzu named George who uses the buttons. Shout out to George, who'll never see this video probably. But I love him, he loves my dog, so Blue doesn't care for George. But he's not mean to him, he just ignores him. And I think it's because George is a puppy. He literally just acts like George does not exist. And George tries his best to initiate play with Blue. Blue just walks around him like he's not even there. I think, I know what it is. I think Blue is still in the way. Because George uses the buttons. He's being trained on the word buttons. If you've seen it on TikTok, I didn't see it before the owner was talking to me about it. I think my phone is spying on me, y'all. I'm telling you. Because me and the owner talked about it. I never heard of this, I never seen it. And then next thing I know, I open up TikTok and it's being shown to me. This husky communicating full sentences with these buttons. And I'm like, wait a minute, baby. What's going on here? But anyway, George knows outside and hungry, and that is just too cute. But we are not going to attempt to do the buttons in my household because I already feel like my dogs just talk too much and they don't talk at all. But if you follow me on Instagram, you see what Blue is. You see his personality. He is very expressive without saying a word. It's like the look, the eye rolls, all of the things that he gives and does. It's as if he's talking all day and does not hush. Bella is the same way with her little personality. No. And then I already know them. Like all day they would be pressing hungry, 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 and I just ain't got time for it in my life, honestly. They would abuse the hungry button, probably the outside button. And all day, if they had their way, I would just be feeding them and taking them in and out, in and out, in and out, and feeding them. So we're not doing that. But I thought it was very cool and very cute. And I'm starting to think that Blue hearing me still show for George how cute he is and smart he is and how cool the buttons are, got him feeling a little way. Got him feeling a little jealous. And so now he does not have any time or anything for little George when we see him. But anywho, that is it for this video. I have given y'all a mini life update on my children because I know a lot of y'all don't have Instagram but don't follow me there. And y'all, like to hear about the shenanigans of Little Bella. And so there you have it. Y'all, don't forget to like the video before you leave. Subscribe if you have not. As always, I want to know your thoughts down below, and I appreciate you so much for spending your time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace. Alright, so Christopher Dunch, I hate his last name with a passion. Like, I literally hate to say it. It's just so unnecessary. Who put those letters together and decided we're gonna make this the last name? Like, and why? Irritates my soul. If he was born April 3rd, I'm pretty sure he's an Aries, but let's just fact check that because Mother is wrong sometimes. And Mother is not wrong this time. He's an Aries. You know what? Also, really quick, spending 5 years studying neurosurgery and then another year stuttering girl. Now Chris had what's the word? In addition of being a surgeon at the instead he just moves on to the next page. So how do you make this mistake as a classically trained surgeon? Is classically trained just for like dancers? I don't know. Who had become girl that they begin to make a little headway. Is that the word? I think so. You know, their little rendezvous. Girl, what? Now I'm not sure which one of those is wrong. Rendezvous. 31 of them are left permanently paralyzed. Why do I keep saying per? 31 of them were left either oh my gosh. See, you just get ready to do too much. You do not know what's going on. Designated for the dogs. We refer to it as, the dog park. It's this little gated area. I was out of focus. Y'all didn't even say nothing. What is up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then it's just welcome to my channel. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button because you will not be disappointed unless you just don't like nice things. You know what? Y'all been letting me live. Y'all been letting me skate with these 20 to 25-minute videos lately. Honestly, I appreciate it a lot. Usually, I bite my head off when my videos are not at least 30, 35, 45 minutes. So today we are going to get into a case that is going to be a little bit longer because I love y'all. And I know y'all want lengthy videos as often as possible. My intention is for this to be that. There is a lot to unpack with today's couple. They were indeed a hot mess. Let's just get into it, shall we? Is it me or my eyebrows really just looking great today? Like, I'm just gonna add just a little bit to them after I finish my makeup. That's how we're gonna play it today. So David Burney was born February 16th of 1951. He is an Aquarius. Now he is born the eldest of 5 children in East Perth, Australia, and his home life from the beginning was very dysfunctional. Both of his parents are notorious alcoholics, and very often the children will be taken away by what we commonly refer to as child protective services here in the U.S. Now, his parents were reportedly a very textbook toxic couple, and their toxicity began long before they even got married and started popping out all of these children. Now, it said that when they initially asked a local priest to conduct their wedding ceremony, he told them that, yeah, this is probably not a good idea, and he had concerns for them as individuals and as well as a couple. He blatantly told them that he felt like nothing good could come of this union. And so he advises them to think twice about this whole marriage thing, but obviously they do not listen to him. Now David's father is described as a very small man, unattractive in appearance, not my words, the words of the internet articles I read. Now with his mother, it is not her physical appearance that makes her unattractive. It turns people off of her. It's her attitude and her characteristics. She was reportedly a very brass woman who liked to curse a lot and was known to, fight a little. Sis did not mind throwing a hand or two. Not only that, she's known around town for exchanging sexual favors for the things that she wants and needs. A barter. More often than not, she would do this in exchange for, a taxi ride here and there. And their home is always unkept, and the children are often as neglected as the household. Many times the kids rely on neighbors or a friend for a meal. Spending time at these other households is when David first gets a glimpse into other people's lives and is able to compare them to his own and see things around here are not that normal? Now, one of these households is that of 12-year-old Catherine Harrison. Once she moves to the neighborhood, and she is just a couple of houses down from David. They bond almost instantly. They're both 12 years old. He is just a couple of months older than her, with her being born May 23rd of 1951, and sis is a Gemini. Now, Catherine has had a pretty rocky start to life as well, but in ways different from David. Catherine is just 2 years old when her mother tragically passes away while giving birth to her younger brother, who also passes away just 2 days after that. When this happens, her father moves with her to South Africa, but shortly after their move to South Africa, she is sent to live with her maternal grandparents. Now, there are contradicting stories online as to what the reason is. Some said that she was taken from him because he was abusive, and other reports say that she was just too much to handle, and so he decided, you know what, let me call her grandmama on the other side and see if they can take care of this girl because she's just alive, and I cannot. Nevertheless, she is sent to live with her mother's parents, and they are very strict. They do not even allow sis to socialize much. When she is just 12 years old, tragically, her grandmother suffers an epileptic seizure. Catherine is then sent back to Australia to live with her aunt and uncle. And this is when she becomes the next door neighbor of David. And by this time, she has developed some very serious abandonment issues. Catherine is described as a very introverted, very shy and quiet, reserved, sad child, longing for somebody to love her and pay her some attention, and very fearful that yet again something will happen that will result in her being uprooted from now her third home. When she meets the smart and spontaneous cool kid next door, who's her exact same age and is quite fond of her, shows her a lot of attention, thinks she's cool as well. The two of them begin to hang out obsessively, like they are literally always together, any chance that they get. David adores Catherine, and this feeling of being admired, accepted, and seen, it completely captivates Catherine. By the time they are 14, they are in a full-blown sexual relationship, and the two of them are madly in 14-year-old love. Now, around this same time, David begins to develop a very unhealthy obsession with sex and all things related, which is pretty typical for a 14-year-old. But with David, it was excessive. It's all he ever thought about. It completely consumed his little brain space, and it is all he wants to do. So I'm sure it's no surprise to you when I tell you that little Catherine becomes pregnant with his baby. And David, now 15, decides to leave school to become an apprentice jockey. Now, at first things were going well, and he was on the right track to one day be able to provide for little Catherine and this baby. That is, until his little teenage hormones can get the best of him, child, in the worst way. One night, he creeps into the bedroom of an elderly lady, butt naked with something over his head, and attempts to commit his first forced sexual exchange. Now, he is unsuccessful in doing so, but once word is expected, for 4 years he's been up to in the middle of the night, he is fired. Now, this is only the beginning of his criminal career, which he brings little Catherine along on the ride for. Together, the two of them began committing crimes, mostly breaking and entering, little burglary, little theft here and there. They were not good at it though. They would frequently get caught. And Catherine is urged to leave David alone. Before meeting him, she wasn't getting into any of the things. But once he came into the picture, she just started doing all of the things, just everything. It was obvious that he was a terrible influence on her. But people encouraging her to leave David only seems to further strengthen their bond. She was completely devoted to him, loyal to him, and she was not about to let anybody of her relationship. Months into her pregnancy, her and David are arrested and charged with 11 counts of sexual activity.
I got stress locks built once.
When they are arrested,
I thought I was gonna die. I was like, take it out my hair. Take it out.
Please.
Just call
It was heavy and tight.
Now, being young, the lack of resources, aka money for lawyers, they decided to just plead guilty. David is sent to a correctional facility for 9 months, and little pregnant Catherine is put on probation. Now, this is the first time since they have met that they are having to be without each other, and they are feeling like it's just too much. But within a couple of months, he is released, and the two reunite, and they go right back to stealing. Unfortunately for them, they are caught again, and this time sentenced to 6 months, both of them. Catherine actually gives birth
birth in prison to her and David's baby, and her baby is taken away immediately by welfare authorities. Child, I just know that baby was treated coming out here, all of the things going on the outside. Child, I know if I was that baby, I wouldn't want to come out to the foolishness I heard going on the outside. With her child taken away, Catherine is in such a vulnerable state that it is not difficult to convince her that she has so much potential and her life could be a lot better without David in it. Once she is released, her probation officer helps set her up with a job working as a nanny and a housekeeper for a very respected family. While working there, she began dating one of their sons, Donald, and they were supportive of the relationship. On her 21st birthday, the two of them get married, and immediately they begin having kids back to back, just children everywhere. Now, of course, they do move into their own home, but she really quickly realizes that she's not really good at this whole homemaker wife thing. Donald was able to secure him a nice little job working as a council member. He has no issues supporting his family. He is a good man, Savannah. That is until he suffers a back injury and he is no longer able to work. Now, this puts a huge financial strain on the household, and Sis barely has any skills herself, so she really couldn't get out there and do much. Furthermore, who's going to take care of all of those kids? As a result of their financial hardship, the two of them are forced into government housing, and things really go bad from this point. Catherine is stressed about her husband. She is stressed about the finances. She is stressed about all of these kids that are running wild as a result of her lack of parenting. Her home life becomes very hectic and overwhelming, and this is made 10 times worse for her when she witnesses one of their 7 children be hit in their driveway by a car and killed. Everyone notices a change in Catherine after this. She is never quite the same, and I'm sure no parent would be after witnessing their child be, But she handles this grief in a very peculiar way, and I'm not one to judge, but this is a lot. She decides to abandon her 6 children, the youngest being 3, and her husband, and leaves home in search of a different life with her never-forgotten first love, David. Now, David had not just been sitting idly for the past 13 years. He had also gotten married and had a daughter of his own. He is working at an auto parts store, and aside from his ever-growing sexual thirst, which is borderline unquenchable at this point, he's keeping it together. And that is until little Catherine comes sashaying back into his life, and he is more than happy to see her. Now, he too leaves his family behind, and the two of them go get their own little house together. And although they never legally married, Catherine changes her last name to Burns.
Yeah, everybody said that.
I guess they couldn't legally marry.
Couldn't be a braider.
You just really gotta love it.
They made it work.
They don't.
Because my attention span's not there for it.
Mine's not. I have ADHD, but
now things were all new and cute. This is not a problem for Catherine. See, at first she just thought David was just so happy to see her.
But sometimes I be brave not to be thinking about everything. That's when it be hard. When you be thinking about everything while braiding.
Hold on now, and begins refusing some of his advances. According to David's brother, he had this appetite that he would go mad.
Girl, sometimes I be wanting to not braid.
He would solicit his own brother for relations. Now, his brother also tells authorities later on that David would
Luckily, after this row, we just got 1 and about a half.
To enhance his climaxes. I didn't even know that was a thing. Maybe it's just a David thing.
It's okay if I pick it up with a break. It's okay.
Anyway, long story short, David needs sexual gratification all of the time.
But by the time I come back, it's gonna be swift.
Catherine wants desperately to be the love of her life, but she could not satisfy him, and she knew
As long as you're not here for that 12 hours that it said.
They at first experiment with toys, but the thrill of that is very short.
I don't know when was the last time I even braided for 12 hours. I think when I was doing that extra boho, yeah. Now that takes a long time.
So he serves a couple more stints.
Yeah, because you gotta add boho on every piece.
To have fantasies of forced sexual exchanges and murder. He fully trusts Catherine, and so he has no reservations about opening up to her about these dark desires, and she reacts very openly to the idea. So he asks her what are her thoughts on helping him abduct a young woman and actually live out out one of these fantasies. He also throws in there in an effort to help persuade her that this would possibly be something that she can get off on too. Now, whether she agrees for her own interest or in an effort to just please David is unknown, but she does agree. Now, on October 6th of 1986, 22-year-old Mary Nelson knocks on the couple's door, unknowingly walking right into the spider's web after she had met David at his job a couple days before. She is a very attractive young lady, and so she of course catches his eye when she enters the shop, and he briefly strikes up a conversation with her and learns that she's in need of a set of new tires. But working part-time at a deli and being a full-time student studying psychology, she was a little bit strapped for cash. David sees this as the perfect opportunity, telling her that he has a full set of tires that he can sell her for cheap, and he gives her his number so they can arrange the sale. So this is what she believes she is coming to the house for. Mary knocks on the door and he welcomes her inside the home, where Catherine is also there waiting for her. As soon as they get the door closed, the two of them overpower her, gag her, chain her up to their bed, and David forces himself on her while Catherine sits there and watches from across the room. This goes on for hours. And once night falls, they take her to Glen Eagles National Park in the dark, where David once again has forced relations with this woman and then strangles her with a nylon cord. David then stabs her, thinking that this would speed up decomposition because he had read that somewhere in a book. And then the two of them dig a shallow hole in the ground and bury her there. David finds this to be as exhilarating as the thought itself, even more so. And Catherine, although she wasn't turned off by the idea, didn't quite realize that she would enjoy it as much as she had. So they do not wait long before they go out and find their next target, which is 15-year-old Susanna Candy. When the two of them spot Susanna, she is hitchhiking alongside the highway. She had been working a part-time job at a restaurant, and her father did not agree with this at all. He was not in support of it. But Susanna wanted to work and earn herself some money. So the two of them had made an agreement that she could work, but he would always meet her there to accompany her home so she doesn't have to travel alone. But on the evening of October 20th, his work as a surgeon prevents him from being able to meet his daughter that night, and so she opts to just hitchhike her way home. When a young couple pulls up and offers her a ride, the presence of a woman is enough to reassure the young girl, and she accepts. Unfortunately, though, this young couple is Catherine and David Burney. They agreed to take the young girl home, but they instead take her to their own home, where she is then tied to a bed and assaulted repeatedly. This goes on throughout the entire night, damn near until David has to get up and go to work, which he does so that next morning. Goes to work, where he is actually known amongst his co-workers as a very quiet, to himself, nice, helpful, and kind individual. So you never know who you work with, because he was none of those things. His co-workers are completely oblivious as to who he really is, what he is capable of, and what he has just done. Unlike with their first victim, they opt to keep Susanna for days. This time, Catherine actually joins in on the assault of this young girl. Realizing that she is underage, therefore there will be parents, at least one looking for her very soon. They force her to write letters to her parents saying that she was in fact okay, she just needed some time away from home to sort out a few issues and wanted to do this on her own. So there was no need for them to be concerned or come looking for her. She would return home soon. Her family, they of course don't believe the letters, but unfortunately they are not able to find their daughter. Once David decides that they are done with her, he attempts to strangle her with a nylon cord, but she realizes what he is about to do, and she becomes hysterical and fights him off. Now I told y'all he was a small man, so it wasn't that hard for her to do. But unfortunately, it is two of them against her. And so together, David and Catherine hold her down and force her to swallow sleep aids. Once she is passed out, David picks up the rope, looks at Catherine and says, "Prove you love me," and holds the rope out for Catherine to take and prove her love for him by finishing the job. She does so without hesitation. Now, in regard to this moment and what was going on inside of Catherine's head at the time, she says, and I quote, "I wanted to see how how strong I was within my inner self. I didn't feel a thing. It was like I expected. I was prepared to follow him to the end of earth and do anything to see that his desires were satisfied. She was a female. Females hurt and destroy males. Like, girl, what are you talking about right now? They then take Susanna out to the same Glen Eagles National Park and bury her right near where they had left Mary. Now, the Candy family, they were very concerned about their daughter's whereabouts. They looked for her. They asked for the help of the public to help search for her. They go to the police with the letters because they were not convinced that this was true. This was something that their daughter planned and would have done. When they go to the police to report her missing, the police look at the letters and write her off as a runaway. So they don't really assist in searching for the young girl. Meanwhile, David and Catherine are out looking for their next target. Roughly 10 days later, they look up when they spot 31-year-old Noeline Patterson standing beside her car on the highway. It is obvious that she is having some sort of car trouble, and so they stop pretending to lend a helping hand. They find that Miss Patterson has run out of
can't do
gas
nothing but
on
laugh
her
with the
work
comments.
and offer to give her a ride to get her some fuel so she can get back home.
Concept
As
is funny.
soon as
Yeah, all I
Mary
can do
gets
is
into
laugh.
the car good, a knife is pulled out and held to her. She is advised that she is to do everything that they say if she wants to survive. They then take her back to their home where she suffers the same abuse as the previous women. And initially, they agreed to dispose of her that night, but when the time came, David tells Catherine that now is not the time. He says that he wants to utilize her for one more day at least. And then the next day, it's the same thing. Today is not the day. Let's just wait one more day. Every day, there seems to be an excuse as to why they need to hold on to her longer. And from Catherine's point of view, David has begun developing a little bit of an emotional attachment to Miss Patterson. In her mind, there's something that he likes about this woman, and that something is making him want to keep her around. This, of course, makes Catherine extremely jealous. And after 3 days of excuses, she finally gives David the ultimatum. Either you take her out or I will. The choice is yours. David opts to go ahead and do it himself as a way to kind of prove to Catherine that he had no feelings, that he had no issue getting rid of her. Now, Catherine does not believe that. She definitely believes that David has feelings for this woman, but she's satisfied knowing that she is now out of the picture and nothing to worry about anymore. They don't bury her in the same space that they had buried the previous women. David chose a different spot for her. She actually asked David if she could do the honors of covering Miss Patterson's face with dirt, and she reportedly received immense pleasure in doing so because she felt like this woman was trying to take her husband. Girl, you're not even married, quiet as kept. Literally 4 days after they had picked up Noeline, they pick up 21-year-old Denise Brown. Now they find Denise standing at a bus stop after she had had a night out at the bar. They pull up and offer her a ride, posing as two friendly strangers, and she accepts. For 2 days, they hold her captive, performing their sick, twisted little fantasies on her. And then they force her to call her parents and tell them that she knows that her son's disappearance is very alarming, but there's nothing to be concerned about. That she is, in fact, safe, and there is no need for them to come look for her or report her